Hey, Tys!
We're back, buddy.
Dude, that was a long interval.
It was, wasn't it? We've had our little week off.
We have.
Just to, reset the engines.
Yeah.
While I've been off gallivanting around on stage.
That's true.
And
doing all sorts of amazing things.
Sure.
Harmonising.
There are some harmonies to be sung. And now we're back.
But we're back, people.
Episode number 42.
42.
Of Tys and Videotape.
That's true.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
How
if this is
are
your
you?
first time.
Hello.
Welcome.
How are you? My name is Nicholas.
I am Tys.
I am a Libran.
I'm a Virgo.
Hey!
Is that how it works?
No, totally.
There's something there.
Yeah.
But yes, this is Tys and Videotape.
Hello.
We're very excited to be back. Today we're talking about a show a movie that is quite
close to the heart?
Yeah, not the movie.
Not the
so
movie
much.
so much. Yeah.
But it is pertinent, is that the word?
Sure.
To what is happening at the moment.
It is. Because my friend Tyson is currently acting in the said show that we're reviewing the film of.
We are, and that is the film from 2005, Rent. Yeah, that's
Seasons of. That's where it comes in.
Can't do it.
That's where it comes in. No, I know you can't. I'm going to be singing. You have to rest your voice.
I do need to rest my voice.
We want those amazing tones because my friend Tys and his amazing gang, who hopefully are listening to a little bit of this. Maybe they'll tune in.
We might get some different listeners this week because it is our first musical.
Yeah, it is. Which is so bizarre that we're doing Rent. Rent, the first musical. Sure. I guess because this is a musical that came out when, we'll get into it later, but it came out in the time when we were growing, like this.
The musical itself?
The musical itself, yeah. This was our generation's musical. Would you say that?
I would say so. Yeah, it was probably it was one of the most important musicals for our generation. I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but we'll get to talking about that later.
We will. But before we start any of that, I'm feeling rusty. I feel a little rusty.
Are you all right?
Yeah, we've had a week off, and I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? How do I do this thing again? Yeah. Well, we start with the segment, don't we?
We do start with a segment, and it's called Talking Trailers.
Very good.
Let's start.
Everybody's talking
trailers.
So, there's been a few trailers.
It's been a while.
It has been a while.
Yep.
And
I'm just going to hang up. There we go.
Hey.
We're ready to go.
It's fucking go time.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. I'm kicking shit over. I'm all over the place.
Don't do that.
I'm in a beanbag today, so it's a whole different vibe.
You are. We're in a whole new venue, and I'd like to just, first off, just shout out to Nicole.
Thank you so
very
much.
And
friend
Nicole,
of the podcast, Nicole Kiley.
And Nicole, your apartment is rad.
Yeah,
just going to say that.
And you can hear Nicole Kiley contribute to our show in episode number
Hellraiser
7. I want to say maybe episode number 37. Our discussion of Hellraiser. If you would like to hear Nicole in action, that's how.
I love it. It was one of my favorites.
An earful of that.
Yeah. I was upset that I wasn't there.
Yeah. Well, so yes, it's been a little while. So. Let's just narrow ourselves down to a couple that we definitely want to talk about.
Yeah, sounds good.
Sound good?
What do you want to do first?
Can we talk about I, Tonya?
I, Tonya, yeah. I love that it's Tonya. Yeah.
So this is the Tonya Harding
story.
Who, I forget that I reckon people would have no idea who Tonya Harding is anymore.
Yeah.
For us, it was like it
was
huge,
a massive thing.
It was huge.
It was so huge.
It was one of the biggest kind of pop culture controversies that I think I've lived through. It was, but also one of the strangest.
It was so weird.
It was so bizarre, and you were just like, God, these people are crazy.
Yeah.
So then the trailers actually do a pretty good job of kind of keeping that to itself. If you didn't know that it was, because I think
it'd still be a good story.
Yeah,
that's the best thing.
I think because it does mention in the trailer based on a true story or inspired by the true story or something like that. So what we all know about is that Tonya Harding, who was a figure skater prior to the 88,
I think so,
86 or 88 Winter Olympics or something.
Yep.
Took a bat or had paid someone to take a bat to her main rival.
Amazing. She took out her main rival with a bat.
Oh God, what's her name? Tonya Harding and
I don't know the other one.
No,
wait.
No. I remember her name.
Really?
Fuck.
Allison? No. Is it?
Stand by.
Lover. No.
This is wonderful podcasting. We're right back into the swing of things.
We're back, people. Nancy?
Yeah,
Nancy Kerrigan.
Nancy Kerrigan. That's it. Fantastic. Thank you.
I was there. I got there. But yeah, it took a bat to Nancy Kerrigan's knees, and she couldn't compete mysteriously enough. And then a whole massive thing just starts coming out that the guys that she paid to mess her up got caught and basically just blabbed. Just said, Tonya made me do it.
And it was just bonkers. And this film looks really interesting. Yeah. I like that.
It looks 80s, Tys. Like, it looks really 80s.
The production design of it is excellent.
Yeah.
I'm amazed that the new trend in red band trailers is just to drop the C-bomb really quickly.
Yeah.
And there's something about having it come out of Alison Janney's mouth that has made my life.
I love Alison Janney.
When I heard her say that, I
God.
was just like, this, I'm going to... And I didn't know Alison Janney was in this film until I watched this trailer.
Yeah.
And I am now gunning Alison Janney, Best Supporting Actress.
Yes.
Let's make it happen.
Yes, let's make it happen. It's been a long time coming for this.
Yeah, she is one of the greats, one of the great character actresses, and she needs, it would be amazing.
She really needs some recognition.
And I think this could be the one that could do it for her, because she looks like she's doing a really interesting, funny yet just serious and just gonna
petrifying. Yeah, she plays Tonya's mother, who Tonya Harding, if you don't know, is played by Margot Robbie. And Australia's own. And Sebastian Stan is in there. Winter Salt.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. How did you happen to see a picture of Sebastian Stan with like the Luke Skywalker hair edited next to Luke Skywalker? Apparently he's just come out in like an interview and said he'd love to play Luke Skywalker someday, like just for whatever, because it's shit you say. Yeah. But someone's put them together like next to each other in a photo. He looks like amazingly like Mark Hamill when he's got the Luke Skywalker hair. Yeah. Like a really close.
What would you call that hairstyle? It's kind of like Prince Adam from He-Man, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
not that long, but kind of like that.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah,
that was the period of time in like the early 80s where men's hair, you could just kind of, it's just whatever it fucking did. It's just kind of like where how it grew. You just let it go. You just gave it some hairspray and it was like, that's it. It just sits there. Yeah. So I don't know what you call that
it
style.
Goes with like it was good if it was blonde. If your hair was blonde, the hair would sit well, and then like a nice blonde handlebar mustache.
Yeah.
Then you got it rocking.
It's when men were men.
Men were real men and wore those really small shorts.
Exceptionally small shorts. Yeah.
I'm going to wear them.
That was peak time.
I want them for Christmas. Oh, God.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So, this I like the angle that this film is taking. It looks like it's going for a real kind of satirical, it's
black comedy, but
black comedy ripping apart the American dream kind of.
But also with a serious
one piece
tone
at a time.
As well.
It does have that serious tone, but I think it's going to be like really darkly funny. Yeah. And I think that a lot of that is going to I think that's what's going to be the memorable parts of it. I think it'll be the laughing. Yeah. I think it's going to come across as a tragedy, but at the same time, I think we're going to really like Tonya.
Yeah. I don't know I don't remember what happened to Tonya Harding. Did she?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't think, I think I knew she was like banned or something.
Yeah, I knew that.
Like,
she was stripped of everything. I remember
but I don't know if she did ever criminal time. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So, Tonya. Do we know anything about this director, Craig
Gillespie? Yeah, Craig Gillespie. Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is the Lars and the Real Girl guy.
Oh, this is the Lars and the Real Girl director. It is. Go on.
Fuck.
Give it a shot. Go, Tys.
Is he the 30 Days of Night guy?
I love watching him work. No. Director? No.
Who's that? That's a Gillespie.
He did the Fright Night remake, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah. Well, I actually quite like that.
Did you?
Yeah.
And $1 Million Arm. That sounds up your alley.
Yeah, and that's John Hamm recruiting some Indian kids that played cricket to play baseball. Yeah. Yep. I don't know why I haven't seen that. I think it was one of those, because it's Disney, I'm always like, I'll get around to it one time. I put that and McFarland USA in the same. I want to do a double header of those two.
Oh, nice.
John Hamm, baseball drama, followed by Kevin Costner, long distance running drama.
Yes.
And it's funny because they're both movies about guys recruiting people from a different country. So it's going to be like the same movie twice, where it's like, I don't know about these, insert foreign country here.
Yeah.
And then they come to respect each other because of sport.
The Astor Cinema, if you are listening, I think you should take heed on my friend Tyson. Come on. That is a doubleheader.
The Overcoming Racism Through Sport doubleheader.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm all for it. I'm there. Well, it's better than mine. I want to do the is it Unstoppable? The train.
Money Train.
And then I want to do, what was the next train one?
Pelham?
Taking a Pelham.
Let's just do a whole bunch of trains.
I want to do train ones.
Like trains running
both
out. Like
Denzel.
Can we do Under Siege 2, Dark Territory?
Yes.
That can be part of that.
Dark Territory? Was that the byline?
Yeah, it's got a fucking stupid
Are you
subtitle.
fucking serious?
Yeah, it's rubbish.
Oh, God. But yeah. Should we move on? What's the...
I don't even know what we're talking about anymore.
We're trailing off.
That's I, Tonya, yeah.
I,
I'm
Tonya.
all about it. It looks great.
It looks rad.
I think Oscars. I'm just putting it out there.
Oscars,
I think there's going to be some
really?
Oscar love for it.
Wow. Okay, all right. I'm thinking Last Flag Flying is very much Oscar worthy.
I don't know, man. Linklater, I don't know if they're digging him anymore.
No, but I'm thinking acting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, fair enough.
Because Carell missed out. Carell missed out. Which,
From
to be honest,
Foxcatcher.
do you think he should have got that? Who got it that year? It was
I can't remember how many years ago it was.
No. Was it 2?
Was it 2 years ago? My knowledge of Oscars is amazing in the 90s. Like, 90s is really great. Early 2000s, excellent.
Sure.
But then it all mooses. Like, the aughts. From 2010 to now, it's just like one big year. And I can never isolate it by the year.
That's terrible.
Yeah, I've got to start doing that.
Yeah, fair deal.
Because it used to be my claim to fame. Like, it was like, who won this in 1997?
Yeah,
I'm like,
I tried to give you, in our Oscar episode, I tried to give you a test, but you were like, no, I'm all over this. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they were all 90s.
Yeah,
90s,
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
90s and 2000s.
I was doing history ones as well, history questions.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And
then we had a grand old drop.
we did.
We had one today.
Important today. Yes, we did.
And this one knows how to market. This one knows its audience. And I'm talking about Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
This thing is going to be amazing. And this trailer was so on the money. You can't not laugh at this thing.
Yeah. Look, it's not a trailer. I think calling it a trailer is probably not super accurate. It's another one of his kind of short adventures, or not an adventure, short kind of satires.
Yeah, because the first one was more of a trailer than whatever this is. That thing in the alley where he doesn't say, that was more of a trailer, not that it had anything to do with the movie.
No.
Which we love.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
Well, there was a short little montage of scenes from the film that went for about 20 seconds,
which I love.
Which everything like kind of looks kind of cool. It was like, oh yeah, familiar faces, haha, action, blah blah blah. It all looks like it's the similar kind of fun, but the majority of the trailer was made up from this Bob Ross piss take, which was really, really, really funny, like so genuinely funny,
so good. My favorite was the fact that when he comes back to the painting, it was the third time, comes back and he wigs out and he goes, and throws the so good.
Yeah, and the little momentary I'm freaking out here, and then it cuts to the technical difficulties for a second, and it's like, it was really great.
It was so good.
Yeah, really, really funny. Great little one-liners, lots of innuendo, and like clever innuendo. It could have been really kind of, but I love the way he's like, just beat that brush. Just beat it.
Joe, I'm just going to beat it. I'm just going to beat it for a little bit here. And it's such an awesome angle. And I love the text coming up on the bottom.
Yes.
Girls in Indigo. What was the
names of all the paints. Yeah.
Betty White.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so good. And then, of course, it comes up with a very nice picture of him next to Cable with all the other characters,
which I had seen before. I'd actually seen that painting, like as a marketing piece before. Yeah. The kind of Thanksgiving dinner with Cable, and all the gang.
It was so good.
Look, it doesn't for this movie could be shithouse for all we know, but
so it's still going to do way more money.
It's
going
to do crazy
money.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And
my favourite is the fact that I was talking to someone at work about this,
sure.
And she's a little younger. She's of a younger generation. And I said, because she loves her Marvel. She saw Thor before I saw fucking Thor. She saw Thor day one. I'm an exception to the rule though, I think. But she saw this trailer. She's like, yeah, I didn't get it. What was going on? So some people don't get.
Bob Ross is like
some people don't know who he is. And what was the name of his show? What was it?
No, I don't know what his show was called. I know him more of them as the meme.
Oh, as the meme.
Yeah, because it's hilarious. All the pictures of him and what he's painted. Yeah. Look, and this, I think we're experiencing something similar with what happened with the first one. I think it got to a point where the marketing was so good that we were just kind of like, we forgave the film a little bit. If you know what I mean, because Deadpool's not. I don't think Deadpool's a fantastic film. I think it's a really good time, but it's not. I think upon reflection, I think it's a package deal.
Right.
We got a very generic yet.
Sorry, hang on.
No, that's all right.
Yeah.
We got a very generic superhero movie that had a really good comic streak to it, and a really good kind of ability to step outside and satirize itself.
Sure.
But like plot wise,
that's who the character is, though. Like,
Yeah,
he
exactly.
does
Yeah,
break
of
the
course.
fourth wall, even in the comics.
But plot wise and story,
Yeah.
like we were
Very
treated with a
generic.
very generic kind of
Very
film,
generic.
and I think we just kind of forgave that because the package deal with all the marketing, all the Ryan Reynolds just being a fucking hilarious prick,
Amazing.
like everywhere, like it became a fun altogether experience.
Yeah,
and I think
absolutely.
this is what's going to happen with this. I think by the time the trailers finish, all the marketing, the great posters, because you want to buy some of these posters. I remember I would love to have that poster from the first film of
the Christmas one.
Oh, like
the Christmas.
yeah,
jumper?
the Christmas jumper, or the one where it looks like a romantic comedy, or like a romantic drama. Like imagine that poster. Like it'd be great.
That's genius.
And so
I think I agree with you, but I think that this is going to be a bit more narrowed in. They have had a little bit of director problems, a little bit of
who's ended up directing this? I've forgotten.
David Leitch.
Oh, the John Wick guy. Yeah, cool.
So it's going to be fine with that. And to be honest, knowing for a fact that Ryan Reynolds has the helm, he's kind of in charge. He's been in charge for fucking decades now.
Yeah.
And he will be fine. But yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I feel that this is going to be just a little bit more of a well-written narrative.
Well, this one, it's got a bit more. It's also got a bit more responsibility now because once you introduce cable,
you need to do something.
We start getting into fucking time travel, and if this is in the same universe as the other X-Men, which apparently it is, we now are starting to deal with the fact that it's fucking Cyclops and Jean Grey's kid, but grown up and from the future.
Yep.
So it's starting to. The first one got away with all the random shit it did because it had no bearing on the actual franchise.
Exactly.
It existed in the same world, but it didn't matter.
No.
Like it didn't affect it anyway. Now we're talking about stuff that directly influences that franchise. So that's dangerous.
I think they're fine. I really think they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I can't wait.
I'm very much
really
looking forward to
can't
it. It'll be a good time in the movies regardless.
Sam and I have watched Deadpool. Like, if we... What should we watch? There was a period there where we were literally just watching Deadpool on a loop.
Nice.
It was amazing.
Why not?
Yeah.
All right, we better move on because we got a lot to talk about today.
We've got a lot to talk about.
So,
okay.
Give me a sec. So, Nicholas.
It's hilarious. Yes.
Let's. What did you watch this week?
But I think we watched the same thing, Tys.
Should we save that till the end of our discussion?
Yeah, sure.
I think that might be the way to go. Is there anything else you want us to talk about?
I do. I have something a little different. So, because of Little Man and being at work a lot of the time, I've been just binging on Last Week Tonight.
Oh yeah,
which is so good. And I just wanted to talk about how. Sorry, God damn. How getting our news, like current affairs and all of that, those shows that are terrible and everyone stays the fuck away from them.
Australian current affair programs, they're all awful.
They're all awful. If you want real news or real in-depth journalistic stories, you go to comedians now. You don't go to journalists.
Yeah, to a degree.
And yeah, John Oliver is just amazing. Like I've just been all of the Trump.
And look, the
stories that are going on is just amazing.
I'm loving the late night talk show kind of vibe at the moment. It's really, everyone's banding together to mock this one person so effectively, and it's very enjoyable for sure.
Yeah.
And John Oliver is probably one of the. I think he's more.
Well, I didn't like him for a while.
Flat comedy than a lot of the other ones. Like, not that he's not making correct statements, but he comes at it from a point where he really wants to sell the jokes.
And that
I think
kind
a few of the
off.
other ones aren't as
going for the comedy as him.
Well, I mean that's not fair because Seth Meyers is definitely going for the comedy, and same with
Colbert.
Colbert. And Trevor Noah and those kind of guys. There's definitely comedy in it.
Yeah,
but I think John Oliver just seems to. I don't know what it is about him. Maybe he's just that kind
because he goes off on a rant and then comes back. That actually put me off for quite a while. When Last Week Tonight kind of first came out, I was watching a few, and then I got over it because I was like, dude, just come back to earth for a second, will you? And just do what
he does. Go off on the rant.
Yeah, and I believe since Trump has been elected, something has changed. He still does it, but it's not for as long.
Well, he's got something to channel it all into now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I've just been binging on that, which is amazing.
Yeah,
just amazing.
Good stuff. Yeah, and look, it's the one thing that's frustrating is I know John Oliver. It's hard to because I'm a big YouTube watcher of these guys. John Oliver's really picky about what he allows to be on YouTube. A lot of these other guys will, they will happily put up their segments. Like, you can almost watch the entire Colbert show just off the YouTube clips, because he puts up all the interviews, he puts up his opening monologue, he puts up his skits, blah, blah. So there's a good 25 minutes out of a 40-minute show that ends up on YouTube.
Yeah.
John Oliver, none of it.
No.
You get the bootleg stuff, and it gets taken down in a couple of days. So I found that really interesting.
I think that's good, because someone like Colbert or someone else, you can actually watch that on another medium, whereas Last Week Tonight, I feel it may not get as big of ratings as Colbert, because he doesn't have...
Is it on a cable network?
Yeah, because I don't know where it is or where it's on. But because Colbert is having guest appearances by, different people.
Fair enough.
And I think that more people are going to tune in, hence why, he needs that. And the one major one that I wanted to talk about was the fact that Last Week Tonight did the... vote yes, the postal vote. I did Australia's.
I did.
A marriage equality vote, which I haven't watched yet, because the one on YouTube is someone taping it off a TV.
Yeah, great.
And I was like, no, I'm not doing that shit. But yeah, it was huge.
And bless him for getting himself involved in issues that he doesn't technically need to get involved in.
No, but
he's understood that
it's such a big deal to us.
That it is important.
It is very,
super
very big.
important.
Yeah. But we passed it. Just to let our fans know that Nick and Tys, we are yes.
Proudly vote yes.
Proudly vote yes.
Proudly indeed.
Absolutely.
Not that there was ever any doubt. I don't think anyone would have assumed.
Otherwise
of us.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, of us. Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. One other thing I want to talk about before we get on to our main one. I have seen what I almost convinced will be my least favourite film of the year.
Oh.
And that was a film I watched in two parts. Half a couple of nights ago, half last night.
Do you think that's why you don't like it, Tyson?
No, that had nothing to do with it, believe me.
Did you rewatch Man of Steel, you idiot?
No, it was the fifth movie in the Underworld franchise. Underworld Blood Wars. From 2016, I believe. And I
can't laugh anymore.
Spoiler alert, it is rubbish.
Does it still have Kate Beckinsale?
Yeah, she's still floating around.
Is she still in leather?
Well...
Or PVC, sorry.
But Kate Beckinsale should be doing better things. Look, more power to her, man, because they're just driving a dump truck of money up to her and saying, hey, can we make another one of these Underworld films? And she's like, of course.
Yeah, sure.
I'm
why
not
not?
going to say no to that.
Strap me in the harness. Let's go.
That's it. Let's do it.
Chuck on the corset.
A bit of wire work.
I'm all for it.
Like chuck in some fake teeth.
Exactly. I'm all for it.
Get a bit of,
I remember the first
pale
one being
skin.
okay.
I like the first one, yeah. I think it's fun.
I don't think I've ever seen anyone. I didn't realise they were up to 5.
I've disgustingly seen them all. And I don't understand why I've made time
Citizen
to watch.
Kane is in the fucking corner going, dude,
Citizen Kane, exactly.
the fuck are you doing?
Hey man, you should watch this. I've spent probably close to 10 hours of my life. No, 5 movies. Yeah, close to 10 hours, maybe 9.5 hours of my life watching Underworld movies. At least, because I've seen that first one more than once.
That's intense.
Yeah, so
I'll watch them one day. Why not?
Yeah, look,
No?
this was the most awfully directed, edited, performed, written film I have seen in a very long time. The cinematography even was disgusting. It was black and dirty, and everything was so artificially dark, and you're just watching the screen going, I can't even fucking see what's going on. I know you're trying to hide how cheap this film is, but I literally just can't see. And I already don't care. So you're making it even easier for me to just go, why am I even bothering? Why is this on? I'm just wandering. My eyes are looking around. I'm like, do I want to get something to drink? Do I have something to eat?
God. I wonder what's in the fridge.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
It will be hard pressed for me to find a movie I enjoyed less.
I love that Charles Dance is still doing this shit.
Yeah, he's still kicking around.
Seriously? Charles
Bless
Dance?
his heart.
Dude.
Bless his heart.
You are way, way above this shit.
Well, but this is they're vampires. They can do whatever they want.
It's the money.
Remember when he was in that fucking Dracula Untold, and everyone thought that was going to be a franchise, and he strolls out at the end like, "Let the games begin," or whatever he said.
Terrible.
And I'm like, no one's gonna. This isn't a franchise. What are you talking about? Who are you trying to fool?
What are you doing?
That was almost worse, like more ambitious than The Mummy.
Oh.
And it was the same people. They were trying to do the fucking Universal thing.
They were.
They keep trying to put one past us, but we're smarter
We're
than
not
them.
that dumb.
We're doing okay.
We're doing okay.
We're keeping a fucking eye on those
maybe,
people. You can't just throw a fucking franchise in the air and go, "Hey, everyone, this is going to happen. You're gonna spend millions of dollars on it."
No, people are eating this up in like rural Australia. I'm sure they love this shit. In rural Australia, they look at it and go, "Whoa, that's gonna be awesome. Oh, I'll get onto that." Kate Beckinsale, yeah, she's rad.
Yeah, she's all right. Yeah,
Blood Wars.
Fifth one, yeah,
Love
all right.
the vamps.
Yeah, I saw the third and the second one. Do I need to see any of the other ones? Nah, she'll be right.
Yeah, it's got the guy from Game of Thrones in it.
Oh, yeah, it's got all of them. It's always, and all the people in these films are the people that it's like that the guy from this and that guy you recognize from this thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's never like there's never an actual performer in it that you're like, oh great, I'm here to see this person's work. Except for Bill Nighy in the first one, and he got chopped in half.
Bill Nighy, you champ. What was the last decent thing that Kate Beckinsale did?
This is the thing. I don't know what else she's been in other than Underworld films. I feel like she's getting
really no. The first thing I ever saw her in was Pearl Harbor.
Oh, I'm saying yeah, but recently, like what is she working on? Has she been in something better?
She's done things. These aren't coming to. Love and Friendship. I remember that.
Oh
title.
yeah, actually, that's meant to be really cool. Like an old timey kind of Hemingway-esque kind of thing.
But yeah, other than that, The Disappointments Room.
Oh right, I've heard that's horse shit. That's a horror movie. I believe it's streaming on
Stanley. Fair enough. Yeah, she's not doing much. Look, maybe she needs Underworld.
No, maybe people need to ring her up and say, "Hey, Kate Beckinsale, you're actually better than this. Do you want to come and be in this really rad movie? Because I got a part for like a really good
An actually
actress,
decent part where you can sink your teeth into. Yeah,
sink your teeth into."
And I've seen Kate Beckinsale.
That's how the guy making Underworld 6 sells it to her. He's like, "Quit making these shitty movies. I've got the role you can really sink your teeth into." And she smacks him.
She's like, "Fuck you. Where's my truck full of money?"
That's it. Don't come and offer me no fucking Underworld 6 without that truck of money.
That truck of money.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on, because we've got a big one we want to talk about, and we need to spend less than 10 minutes on it.
That's true.
Is that possible?
Jeez, we talked way too long about Underworld.
No, that was sufficient. I thought that was pretty quick.
Okay. I saw Thor Ragnarok finally.
As did I.
Amazing.
I disagree.
Whoa!
But that is fine.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I struggled a little bit.
You struggled?
Yeah. I did not enjoy this as much as I was hoping to. No.
That's because you're the only one who likes Dark World.
I enjoyed Dark World.
I'm going to take that back. I like 3/4 of Dark World.
Sure.
I think the ending let it down.
Yeah.
I don't think
it's a great. I don't think it's a great finale.
I think it's the weakest of the Marvel, but still it's okay. No, but I think they did really well with this because you can't, out of all the characters and out of all the things in the Marvel universe, everything has to be serious, and we can't take everything so seriously.
Sure,
and I think that
agree.
they did something. Tiger did something really amazing with Thor, and made it so that we can have fun along the lines of Ant-Man and Galaxy.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think, look, and I agree. I think it was a pretty clever choice. It's not one that it wasn't one that I ever thought was particularly necessary, because I think when you pitch a character like Thor, you almost have to kind of wholeheartedly embrace
the world,
the theatricality of it, which is why I think
there's a Shakespeareanness of
that Kenneth Branagh was an excellent choice initially, because I almost wanted him to go further with it. I almost think he was almost wanted
held
to water
back.
down the edges of that element, where I'm like, no, you go all out for it. Like it should be like balls to the wall Shakespeare drama.
Yeah.
And I think that would have. That's
especially
the kind
with
of
the brother and
all that stuff.
And all
but,
of that.
So I'm not of the camp that it was necessary, but it doesn't mean that I didn't like that element to it.
Right.
I found it just a little. I found it meandering at first, and I actually kind of thought the first 20 minutes or so were really quite bad, and I was really panicking.
You were panicking, yeah.
Because that whole the first bit in where he's fighting the fire monster, and I was like, okay, that's kind of funny, but I didn't think it didn't look good. It looked kind of
really.
I thought it looked really trashy. And
you're talking about all the monsters coming from each side. Yeah,
it was,
I saw that. And
the
went,
CGI was nasty.
What's going on there, people?
The action direction was pretty pox.
No, I didn't mind it.
And the comedy was
saving it.
I thought it was. Look, the comedy was fine. I'll talk about my issue with the comedy later. I'll wrap it all up. So I didn't love that, and then it was all like Then we're here on Asgard. Then we're on Earth. Then we're in the Scottish Highlands. And then it's this happening. And then it's this person. And it's like, we just didn't have a second. And then there's this fucking bit with Doctor Strange, which no one cares about. And then it's like, oh, we found the dad. No, we didn't find him. And I was just like, this is a mess. This is an absolute mess. This is someone trying to salvage a real just mishmash of awful ideas.
Right.
And then they got onto the garbage planet.
Yep.
And thank God that happened, because
you needed some stability.
It needed it. It absolutely needed it.
Right.
And I was just really panicking because I thought it was just a disaster up to that point.
Yeah.
And so it leveled out really well, I think. And I think this is where the most entertaining stuff happens in the film.
Yep.
And then we're led to a kind of effective battle, I think. Mm-hmm. Some stuff happens.
Yeah.
And we're kind of set on a new trajectory. And it was okay.
Really?
And I was kind of like, okay, that was fine.
Okay.
But I think I was really expecting a lot more.
Oh, okay.
And I think I was a little bit let down.
You were a little bit let down.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was expecting. I knew that coming from Tiger, it was going to be... Taiki, sorry. It was going to be a different...
Or Taika?
We'll say
Taika Waititi.
Taika Waititi, yeah.
Taika.
I knew it was going to be a different take on a Marvel film. I did know that.
Yeah.
I'd need to see it again to give it a full flush out, but yeah, I like that it didn't set in one place for too long. Like Dark World, kind of, you're on Earth and then you're on Asgard and then you're on Earth again, and that was it.
Yeah.
I kind of like the fact that it jumped a little bit, and you saw what Loki was doing, and then
I like the idea of it traveling from place to place.
Yeah.
I think it just felt very loosely structured, and so its screenplay structure in itself, I think, felt really cobbled in that first. And I think it wasn't a super long movie. I felt like it was probably just a smidge short of 2 hours, or a smidge over 2 hours,
maybe.
Just
over 2 hours. Yeah.
And I felt it could have. I think that first 25 minutes could have breathed a little bit more, but at the same time, it's like I know what they're trying to do. But I think also like stuff like that the introduction of Hela and all the story elements that lead to her arrival, I think are just rushed and kind of not really taken with any care. And so we get these...
Is it a little too improvised, you might say?
Well, look,
because I know that...
It was heavily improvised. Yeah. And this is a problem as well, which I want to get to, is that it was very funny. I don't deny that it was very funny, but it wasn't characters being funny. It was characters we know saying funny things that their character would never say.
Yeah.
Or would never do.
I got that a little bit.
It was like
there were a couple of scenes where Thor said something funny. I'm like, dude, that's just Chris Hemsworth doing his thing.
I also felt it's Taika Waititi's.
Yeah.
It's his brand of humor.
Yeah.
He is a very funny person. He has a really kind of simple observational style that is quite... it's quite endearing. And I think his character, who I've already forgotten the name of, the rock monster guy. Rock dude.
Gorg.
Who's...
I think they should have left it at that. Have him be fucking hilarious, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But have Thor's comedy should be... yes, he's been in different places and he knows a lot more than he does in the first Thor. But when Thor... I like my Thor comedy when he's drinking coffee and smashes he doesn't know any different.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like he's still his own character, but he's not...
I don't like this kind of
coloured with
this baby man that he talks.
Yeah.
He just speaks what he sees, and in a way that's kind of. Wait a minute!
Yeah.
Sorry, the thing has just turned around a little bit, and that is what is really funny about Taika Waititi. He finds the humor in that. That's a lot of what Hunt for the Wilder People and a lot of what we do in the shadows is that kind of humor where you find the funniness out of things that maybe necessarily aren't funny, but just create an atmosphere that you don't expect.
Yeah.
So everyone spoke with his voice as opposed to speaking as the character.
Yeah.
And it got a bit... And then Hela did it at one point.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
She cracked a joke about something when she was talking to Scourge.
Yeah.
And I was like, hang on, like, that's easily too far. You've taken that too far.
Yeah. someone needs to be serious in this movie.
Somebody needs to, yeah. And look, they're making a broad comedy, and I'm okay with it. And at the same time, I think maybe I'm not okay with it. Maybe I don't want my favourite character to become a comedy.
Wow, Thor's your favourite character?
I reckon.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Do you know what I mean?
I did like Hela though. I think she did
I think she's got fuck all to do though.
A boss job. No, but with what she had, she was
imposing,
a good
and God, Kate Blanchett can do anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
with what she had,
her fight scene is I think going to be like Matrix Reloaded level.
Oh, really?
Cartoon garbage in about 5 years. It was pretty bad to watch now, and I was like,
"Right, it wasn't that bad." Really?
All right. Like, but you don't. I'm never going to watch any moment of Winter Soldier in 10 years and say, "Well, that looks like cartoon garbage."
But that's different. You're a different type of powers. See.
But it was a fist fight. It was still just a fist fight. Like, yes, there was some moments of like throwing
swords coming out and shit, man.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. No? I didn't like that.
Fair deal. I do have to mention Jeff Goldblum has to get a mention in this.
Yeah, look,
because he skyrocketed this movie. Like, and this is the thing. If you're going to do comedy, which this was it was more comedy than it was action. This film, and I think that's where maybe the rub might have a little bit different for you. Or it wasn't what we expected in a Thor movie.
Yeah, well,
because you don't expect Thor to be a comedy.
The problem is, Goldblum. I think he did a really good job. He just Goldblumed up the place.
Yep.
Basically, just did what we've all come to know and love from Goldblum recently, and he's become a kind of like an icon in himself.
I know, which is so fucking
which is great,
good.
and I'm so happy for that to happen because I love him a lot. And he just kind of did a thing, and I'm indifferent. And I'm glad he was in it because it brought a really nice energy. But he's not playing a character. He's just he's just Goldbluming up the place. But the point of comparison that I had was that I was watching it and waiting for I was waiting to care, right?
Right.
And I was thinking about Guardians 2, a movie that I think had pretty big problems as well, but was as funny, should we say? I would say I laughed probably an equal amount.
I've seen Guardians 2 once. Yeah, I'd agree with you, yeah.
The laughs felt more earned because they weren't a stand-up routine.
That's true, but this was... You knew Guardians was more on the comedy side rather than Thor being comedy.
But then Guardians turned...
into a serious.
Not necessarily serious, because you were still laughing. My favourite moment of that film is "I'm Mary Poppins, y'all," and that is the funniest. That is the funniest line of any of that. But it's funny because it makes you laugh and cry at the same time because it is so moving and beautiful.
Yeah.
There was nothing in that in Thor.
So
there was no moment in that in Thor.
Was missing some heart.
Thor, I think, massively was missing heart. I think it was missing anything that made me really care in the end, and that's a problem.
Fair deal. Okay.
But that's maybe I need to just... Because my initial reaction to Guardians was just so... I was just overwhelmed with emotion in the finale of Guardians 2 because I thought it was just beautiful. Yeah. All the stuff, all the father-son relationship metaphor stuff. It was just so beautifully handled and wonderful. And there was nothing in this. The one time they get to try and kind of closely do it, and I really liked the effect, is the way that he kept seeing... Odin, and I liked the way it kind of like he hit like a timpani and he flashed forward, and it just popped into his brain all the time.
I did love that,
and I that there wasn't enough of that. There wasn't enough of actual stakes for the character. There wasn't enough times where you actually looked at him and went, "No, this is enough with the jokes."
You need to.
It's time to spring to action.
Yeah.
In some way, or it's time to make me care. It's time to make me know that.
But not only that, have Thor take up the mantle, because Odin is gone at this point.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus! Spoilers for fucking Thor. But
I'll put a little thing in.
Yeah. But yeah, he does need to pick up the mantle, and it's true. You don't really get that, and especially with what we were saying before. If all of spoilers for Thor, if these three are related, Hela, Loki, and Thor, then there needs to be more emphasis. Fair enough, everyone's going to fight her, but there needs to be a moment where Loki, Thor, and Hela all come together and have words rather than fists.
She was the sister because the plot told me she was the sister.
Exactly. There was no emotional thread through it.
And also I was a little upset. Not upset's the wrong word.
Sure.
But I feel like for a movie that had kind of quite a few substantial things happen in terms to, as spoilers, massive spoilers.
Yeah.
We lost all of our four.
Yep.
All three. Sorry, the three.
Yeah.
Sif is not in the film.
and
they
was
are
quick.
very unceremoniously, without any kind of like, basically in a way that makes me think that they didn't care about them in the first place.
The hammer got more, more cadence. No? Sure.
And I was a little bit funny about that. I think...
Yeah, that was quick.
It was quick. But not only just quick, because some directors do quick well. Some directors surprise you with the death, and then it's...
Sure, but
it takes you a second and you go...
need to give a minute.
Holy shit.
To linger a bit afterwards.
That's it. The respect is paid eventually.
Yeah.
Or...
Like
almost immediately after, yeah.
Like Thor didn't even... Like you would have a moment later when Thor would see their bodies and... Well, the enragement and
there was just nothing they were just done.
No, that was just
like... And the fact that they didn't... I think it had the wrong effect. I think what they were trying to do was to show that they she's so powerful that they didn't even have a chance to think. But what I saw is we're getting rid of characters that we need to get rid of.
Yeah.
And it's okay. No one really liked them anyway. And I'm like,
no, but they're a part of the fucking
They're a part
story.
of it. They're a really important part of it.
That Archer dude was
I love that we don't know the names. The
Errol Flynn guy was my favourite.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah.
And at least we did get the one that was kind of shortchanged in Dark World, because it was the one that was left on the Rock World.
That's so true.
He's the one that actually got a little bit more time because he got to have the nice speech
battle,
where he's but the same thing. At least his death was slightly more impactful. Way too quick. And then the eyeball thing.
I didn't like that.
I didn't like it because it was kind of like it's very heavy-handed in its become your father metaphor. It's like, it's literally that. If it had have been something else, like if it had have been an ear or a hand, I mean, we did the hand with the Loki thing last movie, but maybe that would have been interesting, because it would have been like, oh, we're doing that again. No, he actually lost his hand.
Yeah.
Something that is the same. Yeah, his dad's missing an eye. He's missing this, but they're both gonna overcome that to become the king they're meant to be.
Yeah.
But it was literally...
It was the same fucking
you're missing
eye.
Okay, we're both going to miss an eye. But it wasn't even like... It happened so quickly that I was watching and just kind of went, his eye's gone.
Yeah.
Like, there was no... And I'm not asking for like a moment where she slowly rises up the sword and then goes, I will take your eye! And then take... Like, that's not what I'm talking about. No. But it was like... I just feel like he hasn't quite got a handle on direction of action yet to make the action beats feel as impactful as he wanted them to.
They need emotion behind them.
They need emotion and timing. Yeah. The timing is really important. And it was just,
Don't get us wrong. We love this movie.
Look, I'm picking shit out of it because
you said it's your favourite character.
And it was my most anticipated film of the year.
Yeah, and that fucking trailer.
And the trailer was amazing. The marketing material's been amazing. I will give
cadence to
Cadence. You love saying cadence tonight.
Hell, Nicholas, shut up.
Kudos.
Kudos. To the soundtrack. That
score
soundtrack
is fucking
was
killer.
Boss,
Score is great.
Man, that was awesome.
Score is really great.
With a little
it's like if an 8-bit machine, but with like the most high-end hi-fi unit you could ever think of running an 8-bit sound system.
Yeah. And another thing, I don't think Hulk was used well. Yeah.
He was another character where, as Bruce Banner, he was no longer Bruce Banner. He was a totally different character from the movies that we've seen so far.
Well, that's it. That's the thing. Like, he's been Thor, knowing from the comics, having been Hulk for 2 years.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
it's going to change him, but it's going to change him in different ways than the movie did.
He was
it
also
actually
like
affects you a lot more than that.
And I was like, what do you mean?
I'm in Tony's clothes now. I'm going to be Tony. I'm like,
funny?
What the fuck is going on?
Some people don't have to be funny.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, what's the name wasn't funny?
Valkyrie. Valkyrie, secret MVP of this movie.
Amazing. Oh,
fantastic. So good.
Tessa Thompson. Boom.
Yeah, killed it.
Amazing.
Killed it. But yeah, look, I don't know. Solid 3-star, maybe?
Solid 3 out of 5 or 10?
No, out of 5.
Oh, fuck me. Oh.
I feel bad because it's like, I don't want to bash on... Well, actually, we're so nice. We're so nice to Marvel. I think it's...
I can't rate it. There are so many times where I'll watch something and then rewatch and go, oh, I actually really like that. What's
do you know what? This has happened to me before. There's ones that I didn't like as much the first time that I have since come to really, really love.
Because I came out of Doctor Strange going, what the fuck was that piece of shit?
I didn't mind Doctor Strange the first time I saw it.
Second watching, I was like, oh, okay.
Age of Ultron's a big one for me. I've come to love it after multiple watches.
No, I was there from the beginning. Yeah, loved it all the way.
No, I didn't like it that first time.
There were things that I didn't like about it because of what I heard about what happened.
Sure.
But yeah.
Anyway, so we've got
Ragnarok.
We did get to. I did want to spend a decent chunk of time on that. So
Fair enough.
we did spend longer than we wanted to.
We
but
did. Right.
why don't we move on to maybe I'll cut some earlier shit so that this episode doesn't go for fucking 8 hours because Rent is a discussion.
It's a bit of a talk, my friend.
It is a chat.
It's definitely a bit of a talk.
Shall we move on to our feature prez?
We can do that. Feature prez.
I'm gonna get my other drink.
All right, I need a pillow behind my back.
Oh fuck, my back! Jesus.
And now for our feature presentation.
Well, there we go.
Am I allowed to sing?
We can sing at points.
No, but you're doing the show.
I will judge you. If that's what you're asking. If you're asking for a judgment-free space where you can sing freely, that is not this space.
Seasons of...
all right, so we're here. We're talking about Rent.
We are talking about
2005.
Rent. Oh, wait. Okay, yeah, okay. I wasn't ready.
Oh, okay.
No, go. We're talking about Rent.
Yeah.
Let's do it. 2005.
2005. So the movie, less than 10 years after the stage show came out.
Yes. Debuted 1996, the stage show.
It already feels super dated, this film.
Well, yeah.
And it felt that way when it came out. It kind of felt like it was a relic of the past, even though it was less than 10 years after. You're struggling, aren't you, to get comfortable? This is a shambles. You're knocking shit over.
Okay, go.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm good.
I reckon turn the whole cushion around.
No, this is good like this. Show.
You sure?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
You look very sophisticated.
Thank you. I'm very comfortable.
Good.
Yeah. Sorry. Yes. So it came. The Broadway show debuted in 1996. This came out 2005. You can either look at it this way. You can either look at it was way too late, or you can look at it as way too early.
Yeah, you're right. It was in a really awkward spot. It was either going to
the worst place to come out.
Do you want to tell?
Oh, go on.
What's your relationship with this film? Did you see it at the cinema?
I did. Me, my friend David Barclay, and our friend Coco. We went and saw it.
It was an event, wasn't it?
It was a massive event.
Look, and me and my having worked in musical theatre since I was 18 years old, did some high school shows, and then since then just been all about musical theatre and worked in a lot of different capacities in that.
Mm-hmm.
So a movie of Rent coming out, and because we had this boom of music theatre adaptations in the early 2000s.
Oh, yeah. So this was after Chicago?
Yeah, Chicago was 2002.
So that winning Best Oscar.
Best film. Oscars.
Yeah. What musicals do we have?
Exactly.
And
it became a matter of what have we got? What haven't we made movies out of? What can we remake? What are the new ones that people want to see? And I think Rent would have been pretty much at the top of anyone's list, I would say.
Yeah.
It was just a... You think Chicago the musical, I think it's from the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
And so the film... so the film had 20 years.
Exactly.
Can you just fact check that for me so I'm not making up bullshit? I think it's like 82 or 83, I want to say, but I could be making that up completely. So you've got 20 years and you've got a different landscape too. You've got a film that approaches it
exactly
in a very different way.
Fuck off. Really?
What?
1926?
That's the original stage play.
Right.
Yeah. The musical adaptation, Kander and Ebb.
Mr. Bob Fosse. Come on,
you fuckers. We got people screaming at us because this is the one.
Everyone knows. Everyone
knows. Are going to be listening to this one.
Into 1975.
75, so a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
but still,
so that's 27 years between the stage premiere and the film itself. So you've had these different iterations over the time. You've got an opportunity now to kind of say, well, we're reflecting back on a past show. How are we going to inject something different into it? Whereas as opposed to this film, which I think maybe is almost too faithful to the spirit of the original. Or to the realism of the original, maybe, that it kind of hurts it now because you watch it in 2005 and the sincerity that happened that you felt in 1996 is almost kind of laughable now.
Yeah, it's a bit lost. There were when rewatching this because it's been a while.
I hadn't seen it since the cinemas. It was the same thing for me.
Really?
We went and saw it as a big deal at the cinemas, and I can honestly say that we walked out very disappointed, extremely disappointed.
See,
so I've never wanted to watch it again. For
us, it was just you know. And then we went off, had beers, and talked about when we saw it first on stage, and how that affected us.
Yeah,
you know, and things like that. Because when it did come out in Melbourne, I saw it 5 times. at her Madge.
Sure.
Me and school friends just literally saved up our pennies and went every time we could, and it was amazing. It was played. The soundtrack was the musical soundtrack for the CD came out, and it was played at every house party I went to. Like that was in the background.
That double CD set. You saw it everywhere.
Everywhere.
Everybody had it.
Yeah, and so when rewatching this, I wanted it to either stay more truthful and have them be like the musical and sing absolutely every single line, or be something completely different and go in the way of, what was the Les Mis that had the one with is it Liam Neeson? Yeah. Go that way and do a Rent that doesn't have musical numbers, which it's a different way to go.
I mean, that was obviously that they were adapting the book for that Les Mis as opposed to the musical itself.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying. That film itself, that Liam Neeson film, it exists because of the popularity of the musical. Yes, so I was actually thinking that when it got to the end of the film in my head, and I was watching Your Eyes. I was watching him sing Your Eyes to her.
Yeah.
And I was thinking that as well. I was like, this would be better if it had no music in it.
Yeah, it would.
This would be, as an adaptation, I think it would be more effective. Do you know what's funny? Because I think the most effective parts in the movie are the non-sung parts.
Yes. So the first no,
there are some big problems with the dialogue, but I think some of the better character interactions happen when they're not worried about what they're singing.
Oh, the first life support scene. That completely fucking works.
The first life support, both life supports are really great.
Yeah.
I actually think the I don't want to jump around too much because it'll be a bit of a mess.
Yeah.
But if we keep on a train of thought of the music, the lack of music.
The lack of music in that scene.
I think my favourite character moment in the whole movie is when Angel goes to pick up the bin and Collins goes, "You're drunk." No, I'm not.
No, I'm not.
Just the way she says it. It's beautiful. It's perfect. It's wonderfully in character.
Yeah.
It's cute. It's endearing. It's everything that hasn't happened in really any of the other parts of the show yet.
Exactly. On that. So that little small bit is when they all get to the cafe.
Yep.
And they're at the front, and everyone goes, "Where's Mark?" And Roger goes, "I don't know. Come on, wait from inside. It's cold." And I'm like, oh,
yeah. There's actual worry there. Yeah. There's people like, oh my god, we're in a riot.
Yeah, where's our friend?
Is everyone okay?
Like, we don't know.
And like the riot itself is pretty intense.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty hardcore. And
there are moments. There are moments in this movie that have more weight, and unfortunately, the rest of it, even though these people are bearing their souls while singing, some of it feels weightless.
Yeah. And it's kind of because it's my biggest problem with the movie. Then this will lead us on to what I think is
the next.
I don't know. There's so many problems with this movie.
There is.
But I will say, though, I actually enjoyed it more than I thought I would watching it this time. I found it, because I was so disappointed and I haven't watched it since. So in my head, it was a giant steaming pile of horse shit.
Sure.
I actually don't think it's that bad. I think after this watch, I see a huge amount of problems with it. Lots and lots of problems with it. But I think there are really strong moments in it. And I think they get some of it really right. They get a lot of it really wrong. But I think there's enough in it that it's worth it if you're a fan of the show, if you're a fan of the material. And if this happens to be the first way you came across Rent, I don't think it's the worst introduction. I think it's...
I'd love to hear what you have to say.
No, because it's a lot of people, man, found the film way before they found the show.
Yeah.
Especially now when we've got a generation of kids who are in their early 20s who are big into musical theatre, brought up on Glee maybe, because Glee made it cool again. Pitch Perfect, all these kind of environments where it's cool to sing, it's cool to be involved in theatre.
Yeah.
These people wouldn't have had that experience. They'd know it from the film more so.
Yeah.
I know people that have said, "Oh, is it weird? Like I expected. It's weird that Season of Love doesn't open the show and stuff like that."
Yeah, I actually do like that. That's one point that I do love.
I'm indifferent to it. I think it would work better as a credits song, to be honest. I think as the end credits, but
with Mark's film rolling,
even just with the montage that they use. As a credit sequence, pictures of the person, bit of backstage footage, not bloopers, but just in, candid footage of that person. Yeah. Mark Cohen played by Anthony Rapp as Mark Cohen.
Yeah.
And
some rehearsal shots or things like that.
I think while Seasons of Love playing, I feel like that might have been a little bit more effective.
Okay.
I don't hate it at the start. I think it sets it up interestingly, but it puts it in a really weird kind of frame of mind because it's the only fourth wall breaking that happens in the whole film.
No, I like it because it kind of sets up, because Seasons of Love is such a big part of this. It's the most well known song for this film or musical.
Yeah.
So they kind of need to bookend it, if anything. It needs to be an important part, and I feel that they did that through that start.
But it doesn't really introduce our characters.
No, it doesn't.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think it's well sung.
It could have been
looks
used a bit
nice.
different.
I think I don't think it's used at all. I think it's just there. It's just there, and we watch it and go, yeah, great, I love that song, and then we move on to the actual movie. So it kind of
wouldn't have loved like a McG kind of Marco.
Exactly. That's what I wanted. And his statistics, like of how many films he's made, how
height,
how
what he
broke
likes
he
to
is.
eat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway, so I was going to say.
What were you going to say?
Which brings us to my biggest problem with the film, I think.
Yep.
Is that it. I think, was this what I was going to say?
Go on.
Because I've got a couple of problems with it, but was this the biggest one? What led me onto this? Why are we going to say this? Because.
Well, can I? Yeah.
Yeah, no, here we go. It is what I think is my biggest problem. Here we go. Because all the rough edges are gone.
Oh, yeah.
There are zero rough edges in this film.
Yeah.
And so for a film that is about AIDS, drug addiction, sex, poverty, really kind of complex, grown-up human issues.
Mm-hmm. This is almost a PG fucking film.
It's Disneyfied.
Yeah, it's complete. And unfortunately, I believe that sits on the shoulders of the director.
I think it's it's Chris Columbus.
Yeah,
I think it's a mixture of him in the studio saying, yeah, we need to make this accessible because it's the most popular rock musical of all time.
Yeah.
We need to make we can't have an R-rated film. It can't
Which
be.
is
It can't be
ridiculous
MA.
if you look
It
at
needs to be. It needs to be
topics
M.
of this movie, of this
exactly.
piece. Yeah,
and the musical doesn't really pull its punches. Like the musical goes to some pretty heavy places.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying the film doesn't follow those plot points. It has
some of them.
But Roger is so clean, and he's got this really nice, lovely hair, and he's wearing these kind of fancy clothes.
And Mark and Roger's house is a house that I'd fucking love to have.
That loft is amazing.
I shouldn't say that.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have to say that. Their loft is amazing. There's no way.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Rosario Dawson is stunning.
Yeah.
Stunning.
Although she did, you can tell that she lost a fuckload of weight.
Yeah,
and
too much
she's
weight.
really but she was trying to be the crack addict.
Sure.
That she is,
And
which
and yes, they have Without You, she has a little sitting on the edge of the bed crying, but it's
this is the thing. All of those rough edges you're talking about are shown in montages. It's not.
Oh yeah.
It's not making a point. It's not having it in the scene.
Yeah.
You're not making dialogue of it. You're not having characters react to these things.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're seeing them in little cutaways with song.
Yeah,
with a
and they're
song
not
in the background.
and so that lets us separate from it. It doesn't force us to face these things because there's pretty music playing
in the background,
and they're having a sing.
Oh, I love this song.
Exactly. Oh, this song's so beautiful, and it's like no, we need to face this as a real issue.
Yeah.
Like, and it's the it should look like Trainspotting instead, but it looks like the film clip to November 8. Do you know what I mean? And that's a big problem, I think, is that we don't see her come down from her heroin addiction as anything other than, oh, you got the sweats?
Oh, that's nice. Is that nice?
Are you okay?
You're shivering a bit.
You look a little tired. You look a little cold. I'll get you a jumper. It should be disgusting.
Yeah,
we should be just like uncomfortable. Yeah. She should, and look, but this is the thing. Obviously, it's a piece of musical theatre. So in a theatre, we don't soften the edges, but we play it differently for the sake of having how we have to play it.
Yeah.
But this is a film now, and so
you should be able to really bring up the
close
dirt.
up. We are seeing the pores of these people's skin.
Yeah.
We are seeing into their eyes. We're
seeing the tears.
Yeah.
We're not in the back row, unfortunately, because we couldn't afford tickets.
Exactly.
we're seeing these moments, which I do agree that what you said before, they do with a movie like this, you can really draw out and really. You have an opportunity here, and I feel they miss these opportunities. Is a nice way of saying it, especially with. Spoilers for Rant hilariously. The death of Angel.
Sure.
So seeing Angel being so sick that he can't wear what he wants to.
Yeah.
Where he's in hospital.
Yeah.
Where all of the family is coming together to see
Yeah.
him in hospital, and then you finally see him and Collins in that last scene.
Yeah.
You know,
I think that's the closest they get.
Yeah.
I think to really kind of committing to it. But how more
still
effective
in a
would it have been
montage.
is
Still in a montage.
if the song had ended and we just lingered for 15 seconds and it was the real what it's really like.
Yeah.
Something that I hopefully will never have to experience.
Yeah.
Something that only very few unlucky people in the world, unlucky is the wrong word, because they would say, someone like Collins, I know, would say that he wouldn't have passed it up. He wouldn't have.
Yeah, he wouldn't have given up that
He wouldn't have
chance.
given up the
Yeah.
opportunity to know it for having to go through what he went through. But anyway, only a few
I know what
people in
you're
the world
saying.
have had to
Yeah.
experience something
Experience that.
as painful as that. But for us, it was just, it was a silent shot in a film. Why not cut to the sound? Why not cut to him crying his eyes out in this empty, abandoned hospital, begging for this person to come back to
Yes,
him?
make it
Just for that
real.
second.
Yes.
So that we, as an audience, just have that momentary comfort, the blanket of the music just pulled away from us a little bit.
Yeah.
So that we go, oh, no, this is actually really
This is full
fucking
on. Yeah.
bad. This is really bad and really painful, because that's what that's what the film adaptations are meant to do.
Yeah.
Like,
That's so true. That would have been so good to do that. Yeah.
So I think that's my favorite one is the fact that there's the homeless lady. And the line is, this lot is full of motherfucking artists. And the way you say that, just the disdain that she has for artists is so important, because it's like that you're a fucking dime a dozen. You reckon
You're
you're
all
fucking you're
out
so
there.
entitled to your bullshit view of the world, and you haven't even fucking lived a day like I've lived. And they take out the motherfucking, and she says, this lot's full of artists.
And you're like,
Well, that's just changed the entire content of your monologue now.
Yeah.
Of your character, this homeless person's character, who is actually really important for Mark's character.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of springboards a little bit of his transition from being a conscientious observer, I guess, or an unconscientious observer, I guess. He doesn't.
Yeah.
He tries to not get involved, to realizing that you have to.
You have to.
You have to be.
Exactly.
And so. That kind of stuff kills me, because they've used up their two fucks by leaving the one in Tango Maureen. So he says it's fucking weird. And it's like, well, that's one. We only get one more. Because otherwise,
it's an R rating.
Otherwise, we're going up to we're up to R rating, and kids under 15 won't be able to see it.
Yeah.
So shit like that made me really mad. And I was just like, come on, anyway.
I hear you. Where was I?
Well, I've got so many fucking notes.
I've got so many notes. Let's go. Can we? I feel like you can't hear me. Let's go back to the start a little bit.
Okay.
Where was I? Oh, let's go. Let's talk about this. Let's get this out of the way. What do you think about the original cast coming back? Because I'm of two minds of this thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes, they are too old.
I think it's exactly the same what I'm going to say. Yeah.
I totally. Enough totallys, Nicholas.
Totally.
Totally.
I totally believe.
I totally want to. No. I think it's a good choice, because these people know these characters well, and it's better than, I would not want to see a Rent with Roger played by Justin fucking Timberlake.
No, but I don't think that would ever happen.
Oh, you know that it would, Tyson. You know that it would. If Rent was made now.
But then why is it Rosario Dawson though?
Because they needed someone.
Yeah, but this is what I mean. If that's the mentality, it would have been whoever was the hot pop star at the time.
Thank God.
Shakira.
Yeah.
Well, what was her name? Well, who was the other one in the Lady Marmalade film clip? Maya? It would have been Maya. No. She would have been great.
Way back, Moulin Rouge. No.
But this is what I mean, though. So I get what you're saying, but I think this is one of those occasions where they might have stunt casted one or two of them, but I think they would have been pretty fair.
Because Collins looks 40, man.
Yeah, well,
and Roger...
Collins is always... I think I get away with it with Collins a little bit more, but Jesse L. Martin, he'd been Law and Ordering for years by then. So yeah, you're right. But I think maybe that carries a bit of...
Collins, if anything, can be a
he
little
can get
bit
away
older.
with it.
Yeah.
Because I always imagined Collins to be in his mid-30s anyway.
Yeah. It's Mark and Roger for me. They need to be a little bit younger, because when Mark is talking about, I remember all of the things we go through, but then my parents call and you can't... No dude that age is going to back live with his parents.
No. And look, it's very hypocritical for me to say so, considering that I am a man of 35 who is currently playing Mark Cohen.
Yes.
but you're totally right.
Yeah. Sorry.
And look, it's the same thing. I'm on stage, man. I'm on stage. I've got a hipster mustache that I'm rocking at the moment. I'm wearing a beanie, and I'm wearing the Mark get up. And unless she looks straight at me, I'm hoping that I don't look over 30.
Yeah.
And that you can just say, well, maybe Mark is slightly older, which I think is okay. I think Mark can be a little bit older than Roger because he does Mark carries this kind of this pseudo holier than thou attitude to everyone anyway. Yep. It's part of it's inbred into his DNA because he thinks he's the one that's, it's his duty to document this so that he's separate and a bit better.
Yeah.
So I think he can afford to be a little bit older, but someone like Roger, he looks like real old. He looks like the dude from Creed. And really there's none of that youthful energy. And they do that flashback where he's got the frosted tips.
Oh, I love that flashback. He looks like Billy Idol.
I hate the flashback.
Oh, it gets bad though. It does.
But then you have someone you're right though, because they do understand the characters. But then again, Roger puts in a really bad performance.
He does.
I think
he cashes it in.
I think he's no good. What's his name again? I've already forgotten.
I forget. I do love the casting of Tracy Toms though. I think she's
she's great. She's great.
Joanne.
She sings the shit out of it. She's sassy. She's got some really nice moments. Idina Menzel's looking probably a little bit too old as well. I think
a little
at
bit,
that
but
point
she's still got it.
She's still got an amazing charisma. It's really kind of out of control. But her and Taye Diggs at that point are probably mid-30s, I would say.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel like for Maureen, someone who has that kind of energy, that has that kind of who views the world in that way, there is a certain naivety about that I think.
Exactly.
I think someone of a middle age that she was at that point, it just doesn't sell it as effectively.
Yeah.
I will say though that Taye Diggs, who's probably too old for it, smashes it in the first 5 minutes. He was the thing that I was just like, you get it, man. You get it better than anyone so far.
Yeah.
Everyone's working out the kinks. I don't know if they did this chronologically, but I feel like that might have been one of the earlier things that they filmed.
Yeah.
Taye Diggs walks out on the fucking screen. He understands his character incredibly well. His
Plays
reactions.
The part. He doesn't overplay it at all.
He feels totally lived in at the same time, and he's the only one who pulls off the lyrics as dialogue and makes it seem natural.
Yeah.
Every other time they do it, knowing the lyrics as well as we do, feels really awkward.
Jarred, yeah.
Taye Diggs does it. It feels totally natural. Yeah, man. It feels really great.
Even coming into that first scene where he jumps from normal dialogue into singing, perfect.
Seamless.
I'm like, wow, that is nice.
The way he laughs when they say Joanne is one of the most naturally infectious moments, and I laugh because he's laughing. Yeah. It's so great. Good. I think he does really great work.
I love Taye Diggs.
I really like him a lot.
And I want him to do more.
I think the cast is a problem. I don't warm to these people anymore.
Well, this is the. Well, hang on.
I would
love
to have seen some real. No, that's really unfair and that's patronising. But I would love to have seen some legit
unknowns
film. People whose expertise was in film acting,
right? Because
it's a very different medium, and I don't think it translates super well. I think we're watching a few stage actors who might work in television and stuff like that, but
especially from and I don't want to pull away from it because I know you're very close to the character, especially from Anthony Rapp.
I don't think he does a fantastic job in this, but that's neither here nor there for me to say. Sure. I'm not saying I could do it better.
No, I'm not saying that. It's just that I feel that
I don't take a lot of inspiration from what he does.
No. I feel that he's out of all the stage performances up there, he's the one that's showing the most green.
Sure. Well, it's funny because they mentioned in the making of documentary that Roger. Adam Pascal.
There we go.
Was by far and away the most green as a stage performer. And so they all had to kind of...
Yeah, because Jonathan Larson, he was in a band, and Jonathan Larson picked him out of the band. And so come be my player.
That's kind of funny now that, because also, but having said that, I think he's pretty awful. But why is it only... So let's say you're a Hollywood studio executive.
Yep.
All right?
Uh-huh.
Strap in.
Yep.
We're making the movie of Rent.
Here we go.
Who
am I? Am I Christopher Columbus?
No, you're not Christopher Columbus. You're the guy that's paying Christopher Columbus.
Oh.
He says...
Yep.
I want one movie star. Yeah, you can have your original cast.
Right.
But I want one movie star.
Okay.
Why do you choose Mimi
and
Rosario Dawson? Why not?
Without knowing that the original cast members were the woman who was the original Mimi was pregnant, and she couldn't do it, and the woman who played Joanne.
Well, you get two. Okay, so you get to replace
she said no, I'm too old.
Sure, that's fine. But Tracy Thoms is not a movie star. Rosario Dawson is a movie star.
Is a movie star.
So
yes.
why then, if it's like, you can have all of them, why not get
someone to replace Roger?
No, why is it not Roger? Yeah. Why is it not Mark? Why is it Mimi and only Mimi? And then Tracy Thoms is a theatrical.
She is, yeah. She's
a singer. Yeah. So why didn't we get the new Mimi? Why didn't we get just whoever the Mimi was on Broadway at 10 years later?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Why is her role the one that's the movie star role?
We need a name.
We needed a name.
Yeah.
Why is it Mimi though?
I don't know.
Like,
why is it Mimi?
That's a weird choice for me.
Yeah.
That's the one that they decided.
You would rather Roger?
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to think.
Because it can't be Collins or Angel.
No. Because
okay.
They wanted to give you want to give Angel because he won the fucking Tony and everything. And he's wonderful. He's great. He knows it inside out. He does a really great job.
Yeah.
I just found it a weird choice that Mimi's the one that they came down on in the end and said, okay, well, we can't get the original. Let's get a movie star, as opposed to
who's playing Mimi right now in Broadway or on the West End. Yeah, good point.
So I don't think Rosario does a bad job by any stretch, but I think she delivers a very different kind of performance, and I think it's kind of mismatched.
I feel she's trying to keep up with, because I know, coming from an acting point of view, her coming into the original cast, that
it'd be very intimidating.
That'd be intimidating as hell, man.
Yeah, for sure.
So intimidating. Like, these are the original people who knew Jonathan Larson, who had the dinners with him at his house and all of that shit.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, that's full on. But I think she does a really good job. But I agree.
I think she pitches her performance at a very different level, though.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't know why it is her that's not the name, and not the.
I feel like, I don't know. Yeah, it's just a weird. I don't know. I actually think Roger is the better choice, to be honest.
Yeah,
but maybe that's just because I don't think he does a good job. Maybe because he just didn't do a good job. I like Adam Pascal. I like him in the recording a lot more than I like him in this.
Yeah,
for some reason, they've made his voice sound shit.
Yeah,
like the overproduction.
It sounds poppy.
It sounds like really like it's really kind of up in here when it shouldn't be. And he's got weird placement and everything. Yeah. And they've amplified the worst elements of his voice in the production, whereas in everybody else they've made it sound better because it's produced to within a fucking nth of its life. Yeah. Which is another, it's fine. I don't notice the auto-tune as much as I have in certain other things.
I remember that was the one thing that I remember coming out, that Rosario Dawson was shitload auto-tuned.
She was auto-tuned, but it's that kind where they take away the vibrato as well, and they take away, like, it's really weird. It just becomes this weird kind of sound that no human can make.
Yeah.
But for Roger, it's appalling. They just make him sound like a really bad singer, and he's not. He's a good singer.
He's a good singer, yeah. My favourite, he does one of the best belts he's in School of Rock for about 2 seconds.
He's great.
And, does that. I love that song. He sings, I think the song's called Fight It, and it's so good.
He fires Dewey.
So good, yeah. Just going back a little bit, I remember, I have to mention this because I wrote it down. So reading some things about what Chris Columbus said about making this film. So he said in an interview that some scenes and references would be too heavy for his cast and audiences, so he felt he needed to censor it. That coming from
that's the worst statement a director of this thing could make. That's the kind of thing that makes you go, "Oh, we've hired the wrong guy for this gig." Clearly.
Seriously. And he made this after, so the film would come out.
Maybe it's backpedaling.
You reckon?
Maybe it's studio saying,
that is,
and he doesn't want to.
You don't want to hear that.
You don't want to hear
that to a Rent movie.
You really don't.
My God.
You really don't, because that's what we responded to so much in that at that age, is that I remember thinking that a musical couldn't be about this stuff. That it would never.
Oh, really?
Like, that's what made it. Well, that's what I was so attached to when I was 14 or 15.
This is why I went back and saw it so many times.
Yeah. It was a musical that was prepared to go to the places that I never thought a musical was capable of going to. Because at that point, musicals were
overture.
Wholesome. Yeah, exactly. And look, that's not to say that there weren't musicals that did some heavy shit. Like Sweeney Todd had been around for a while, and that's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, that's my favourite.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. And there was, lots of other Sondheim stuff that deal with kind of heavy relationship issues and quite truthful relationship and attack it in a very mature way. Yep. But nothing that kind of had this kind of energy and, kind of spoke to what was actually really happening to young people in a way that was kind of indignant and that kind of got you fired up.
Yeah.
And so to
that
take
it made it okay to be the type of person that
and
you
that it's a
wanted to be.
musical that's doing it.
Yeah.
Like it's not the dudes on MTV. Like it's not your favorite band on MTV.
No.
Fucking middle fingering the society.
No.
It was a piece of music theatre that was not meant to be like that at all.
It had so many fucking swear words in it, and it was real and awesome. You know.
So of course we got fired up. So to say that is just is completely
undercutting and just
understanding your audience and your material.
Yeah, exactly.
Chris Columbus.
So
man.
going on that, the one thing that I wanted to say with Chris Columbus is
He's a hack.
I fucking love Home Alone.
Who doesn't love Home Alone?
Who doesn't love Home Alone?
You just
stick to your kids'
broken
movies.
clock is twice a day, my man. He's made some shit too. So
that's good. So yeah, going on, one of my favorite scenes in the musical. Okay, now we're talking about the musical.
Sure.
Okay, is the meeting of Angel and Collins. Now in this is in the film for starters. It's one of the cleanest fucking alleys I have ever seen in my life.
Oh, everything's
okay. That's to go through the whole. But this is at the start of the film. Okay, this is the second. This is the second kind of scene we're seeing. Yes. Not only that, while casually dropping that they both have HIV, it's not given the time to show one of the most beautiful relationships. For me, Angel and Collins kind of trumps, worst word in the world now, trumps Mimi and Roger. Their relationship kind of is more...
I think it's kind of meant to. I think it's meant to
poignant.
be.
Yeah. And it's just so rushed in this movie. It's just not given its time to breathe at all. And it, bang, and we're into the next thing.
Look,
Come on, let's go.
I think you could probably make that argument of the musical a little bit.
Sure,
I think.
but
you're
film,
right, because the film gives you the opportunity.
Yes.
This will lead to a point that I made as well that I wanted to discuss.
Yeah.
Is that I look at some other musical adaptations and I think that there are things that have been adapted from that into subsequent performances, right? Mm-hmm. So, for instance, I'll use as the example that, or not even that it's been put into subsequent performances, it's that it can be acknowledged that the change actually bettered the story or made it more effective.
Yeah.
The one I'll use an example is in West Side Story. They've changed the order of Krupke and Cool. Uh-huh. And suddenly we have an Act 2 that is incredibly tense and sad and tragic and not fucked up with a comedy number 20 minutes in.
Yeah.
And we have an Act 1 that has this lightness and this kind of like this weird kind of what's the word where it's like you're looking like you feel like good times are going to happen in the future, and I can't think of this word right now.
Not foreboding, the opposite.
No,
of
the
foreboding.
opposite of foreboding. Fucking English, man. I'm not coping.
It's all right. It's all right.
Anyway, and it's not broken up by this weird kind of brawling number anymore.
Yeah.
I think everyone can safely acknowledge that is the better way to put those numbers.
Absolutely.
And it more effectively serves the story. Look, there's probably an argument for the other way, and that's fine. You can have that argument.
Sure.
I personally believe that it is the other way around.
But that's the thing. You're taking a medium which can play with the text a little bit better, and what you're doing is servicing the text better in film. So taking that scene between Collins and Angel and flushing it out, giving it time to breathe is what I would have loved.
Yeah. Well, I don't feel like there is any change in this that betters the story. I don't think anything that they've changed you can point out and go, do you know what, that more effectively tells the story that it needs to. And I think that's a problem. And this is what I'm talking about, because that's an opportunity for a small change, just a small change.
Yeah.
Where they could perhaps spend more than the 3 lines of dialogue they spend together before they leave to build
a relationship.
A relationship. Yeah. Yes, something.
Yeah.
Something, because it's never, it's clunky the way that he even says that I've got AIDS anyway. So it's always kind of clunky. So there was an opportunity to kind of find a more organic way.
Exactly.
But instead they find an even less organic way somehow of him saying, oh, we have to hurry, I've got a meeting to go to. And it's like, hang on, like, why don't you just chill out a little bit? The guy's just been beaten up and you've come over to help him.
Yeah.
Like, let's just take a fucking pump the brakes.
Yeah.
So, like, there were other moments that I think potentially could have achieved that as well.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can point to anything as being more effective. I think there are things that are effective, are like that, but things that you would look at and go, do you know what? It did that better than the musical does it.
I can I have two.
Okay, I'm keen to hear.
Only two moments that did it. That work better.
That were comparable. Let's even say comparable.
Sure, I will say that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that it's better because, musicals being in the audience and feeling, having actors open themselves up and sing to me. The Tango Maureen, number one.
No, I disagree. But
the only reason is because what it does is take that element, and if you are going to do a movie that is a musical, have it be a fucking musical. Have it be this grandiose, massive thing. Even if it, what the fuck are you doing?
I got fluff on my little thing that goes on my microphone.
I was on a rant.
You are. I'm listening though.
Anyway, so you're taking it and you're running with it, just the way that Cell Block Tango did in Chicago.
Sure.
And you are making it so that it's massive.
I
understand where this is comparing it. I'm not saying that it's better. I'm saying that it's equal. I'm saying that when you have the Tango Maureen on stage, you're having two people do something really amazing, and what you're getting in the movie is, now that we've got a budget, let's show them what we can do.
I think I like it in theory, but I also really like the mystique of Maureen. I think that's an important part of the show.
Yeah.
I think having this character that gets spoken about so often, and you build up this anticipation, and then the first time you see her is last night.
I agree.
Or Joanne, Which Way to the Stage. Anyway, so I think having her in that number kills that a little bit.
Right.
So I like the grandiose nature of it all.
Sure.
I like that he passes out and hits his head and it becomes like a fantasy thing. I'm okay with that.
Using what you have.
I think putting her in it is a big mistake. Okay. So I'm not entirely on board, but I see where you're coming from.
But that was number one. Number two is probably La Vie Boheme.
Okay.
So this is a scene, for those of you who don't know Rent, this is a scene where it is a 100% ensemble piece where absolutely everything is happening at the same time. Now, on stage, unless you have a beautiful, perfect seat, this is kind of hard to for me, it's kind of hard to show.
Sure, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
This time, he's taking the camera, he's playing with it, he's actually using it, he's going in and out, he goes
He's
outside.
in and out, you're right.
It's
weaving camera, you get to see a bit more of it.
So well done that this is what I wanted La Vie Boheme to be.
I think it's got really good energy. I completely agree. I think there's a really lovely vibe to that whole sequence.
Yeah.
I think he fucks I Should Tell You in the middle, and so that makes it really hard for me to maintain the good vibes for the rest of it.
I do agree.
I see a lot of missed opportunities in that, and that gets me frustrated as well.
I'm not perfect by any means, but I'm saying that him moving the camera...
I think the way he does kind of treat it as... he treats himself like he's one of the people on the table.
Yep.
I think that's a good vibe. It is good to feel inclusive. It's a kind of number where I think, it is most effective when you do feel like you're part of it. And I think they do try to achieve that, yeah. So I can see where you come from for that.
Two things also, criticising what I've just said,
sure.
Two things that are wrong with that scene is the fact that they all do a stage pose at the fucking end. And I'm like, what are you...
Oh,
no,
man, there are so many moments in this.
What the fuck are you doing? There's no audience.
Where it's like, it's the whole... what do we do now?
Don't stage freeze. Don't stage freeze. Don't do that. That and the fucking... I felt so sorry for Anthony Rapp. Christopher Columbus thinks it's a good idea to slow-mo past on top of the table and see all of our main characters. Now, at this moment in this movie, we're coupled. And poor fucking Mark is by himself doing this stupid dance thing.
So, I wrote that as a big missed opportunity because I think that's a really important part for Mark's character.
Yeah.
Especially through what he does end up going through. Which, by the way, gets kind of removed
washed over
from the film completely.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's like, do you want him to be your main character or not?
Because the whole last bit is
anyway, we'll get to that. But like instead of, there's a moment where it looks like we're going to see him react to the fact that he is the one that's alone, and then we don't even get it. And I'm like, oh well. It's like you've made the blocking do the work, but you haven't paid it off by getting your actors to actually acknowledge that emotion. Yeah. So is it an accident or is it actually there? Yeah. So I was a bit bummed with that. That's a big missed opportunity. Oh god.
Yeah, I kind of want to.
I'm gonna have to cut some.
We're gonna have to cut some of the.
No, I'll have to cut some of the earlier shit out. So we only ended up watching Thor Ragnarok. We didn't see anything else. I'm going to cut straight to that. I'm going to edit in really awkwardly me going, oh, the only movie we saw was, and then go back to
it. All right. Because
I've still got too much to talk about.
Yeah,
so.
same. You go.
What do I want to talk about?
Give me something, Tys.
Let's have a look. Well, this is perfect because we did just kind of mention this, but I feel like this is while I don't love the Chicago adaptation, I think I've talked about this
You've
before.
said that before, yeah.
And when we do it, I'll explain why.
Sure.
One thing that they do convincingly, even if I'm not 100% on board with the theory they use, is that they explain the theatricality of it. Right?
Yes.
So they explain why we're busting into song. They explain what is going on.
Reasons.
They basically just make Roxy bonkers and put it all in her head. That's fine. I don't 100% agree with that. I think that kind of ruins her character a little bit. But having said that, it's an effective choice and it solves a lot of problems that this film falls into a lot. Yeah. There are some moments that, like you said, like the pose at the end of La Vie Boheme, that really kind of get really close to breaking the world that it's trying to build.
Yes.
I think you've got to think of it in two ways. We either embrace the music theatre-ness of it completely.
Exactly.
Or you ask us to live in a real world and accept the fact that we're going to be singing and there's going to be music playing.
Sure.
But when that happens, we then have to make these really interesting choices. Like, for instance, if somebody busted through your door in a Santa hat, in a Santa costume, and sung a song about killing dogs... you would be kind of concerned.
You wouldn't be okay with it, and you wouldn't be going...
You wouldn't be... But what are they...
Yeah.
But what are they tapping along to?
I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
Does she have... Where's the backing track?
Exactly.
Does she have a backing track?
Yeah.
Like, this is kind of where I want the movie to embrace what it is a little bit more. If this is a performance to them, why doesn't she walk in with a boombox, push play on something, why isn't the sound... diegetic.
Yep.
Like, why not leave it that way? And this is actually something I was thinking at the end. And I was trying to, when I was watching Your Horizons, thinking this would be better without music. I was thinking this might be better if he went, I've finally written the song. It's not much, but it took a long time.
Yep.
Like, desperately runs to a CD player, puts this badly burned thing in, and you hear this raw, horribly recorded performance while he kind of tries to half sing along with it, but his voice breaks and he's talking to her and stuff like that. So we hear the song, but we hear it diegetically. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So that we still get the moments of music theatre, but we also get it in a real world environment.
Yeah.
Like, so that's the same I was thinking with not La Vie Boheme, with Today for You. I was like, why doesn't she, bust in with a little wheelie PA unit or something, because it's like, this is the kind of person she is. She's very theatrical. She would rock up with a little PA and it would switch a little light on and you'd hear this bad little beatbox go and they'd be like, what is this? This is nuts. And she'd do this hilarious performance and they'd be like...
And then you can have that reaction from Mark and Roger that would be okay.
Then you can have this reaction like, who is this person? This is so funny. Yeah. But we're busting out because it's got... Like, she has like a Casio keyboard and pushes like play on one of the demo buttons and it just happens to be Today for You.
Yeah.
Like something
in a MIDI recording.
Like something like that, so that we don't get these really weird rule breaking or world breaking moments of music that we're just kind of like, what
the fuck?
But really, would you be clapping along? Like,
and tapping,
what are you clapping along to? Because in music theatre...
And for me, Roger is way too engaged at this point.
Way too engaged.
Just chill.
Roger's just chilling out.
He's so fucking fine in this. I'm like, dude,
he just doesn't...
What the fuck?
He's really bad. He's just having a good time. And then it's like, you should, it's really tough for you, Roger, at the moment. And he's just like...
And he's like, yeah, I'm cool. I'm drinking tea. I got my cardi. I'm a little cold, but fuck.
That's it. It's like, I don't know. I've got some hot chick who's throwing herself at me.
Seriously?
I don't know. I don't want to go anywhere, though.
Fuck off,
like,
man. Dude.
And I love how that even Benny's like, you look really good for a guy that's been 12 months, off the gear.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, thanks. I'm like, no, legitimately.
No, just legitimately.
You look
fucking great.
You look way too good.
What's in that fucking herbal tea you're drinking?
Exactly.
Fuck off.
But so it's kind of like... they keep testing the rules, and sometimes it's just going to break. Because you can treat it two ways. In a musical... Other people know that you're singing, or only the audience knows you're singing, and it's actually dialogue that you're speaking.
Yep.
You can't have it both ways.
Yeah, that's true.
And this movie has it both ways a lot.
Which is why Taye Diggs' performance is so good, because he just
moves between it really great.
So well.
Sorry, it's not always dialogue. It's also like personal reflection and stuff like that. Like, it's internal monologues and stuff.
And shit,
But
he does that.
Yeah.
Can I just say for a moment?
Sure.
Just on the musical and the movie as well.
Sure.
Roger's song at the end is fucking balls.
See, a lot of people say this. I kind of like it.
Do you like it, guys?
I don't mind it.
Really?
Yeah, because
for something that he's been working on for a fucking year, though.
Yeah, but
come on,
that's kind of why I like it, because
really?
it's not very.
It's not very good.
But it's the sentiment. Because it's what it means.
Yeah.
It's that, like, it's this whole thing about artists being afraid to put anything out into the world until it's absolutely perfect. And I think the fact that he
does it and
it's not
perfect.
I know that's probably I'm probably adding contextual information to that's maybe not there.
Sure.
But for me, I think it's kind of nice. I'm not saying that he thinks it's shit, but he'll put it out anyway.
Yeah.
I think that it's not
he's been
perfect.
working on it for so long.
He's been working on it, and the sentiment is right, and that's what's important.
Fair deal.
And he puts it out into the world knowing that it's not the last song he'll ever write, and that's what his fear was the whole time, that he only had one.
Yeah.
He knows that he's got one. There's more to come.
All right.
And so I don't mind it too much. But that takes a lot of contextualizing.
That's very good. I like
it takes
that.
a lot of thinking.
Yeah, I'm like,
but,
Jesus Christ.
I'm making excuses.
No, it was good. I liked it.
Oh, God.
Give me something else.
So did they film this outside or not? Because... What's with all the sometimes the steam is so fake coming out of their mouth and it's to the point of distraction. And other times I'm like, that looks actually convincing.
No.
I reckon they might have been outside for that shot.
No, all of that was CGI breath.
Do you reckon it was all CGI breath?
It was all. Yeah,
it's awful.
It was so bad. No,
sometimes it's all right.
I love that we haven't gotten better.
CGI breath is still just really bad.
If you watch The Social Network, that is the worst CGI breath I've ever fucking seen.
Don't
and that's my man Fincher.
We get it
just
if it's cold.
Just go in the cold. Fuck.
Yeah.
There is somewhere in the world that is cold.
Just go in the cold, man. They make fucking people swim in summer scenes when it's not warm.
Exactly.
Why not just put people actually in the cold?
Yeah. Not hard.
They got heat lamps everywhere else.
Yeah.
They can go sit in a heat lamp for a little while. They come out and do the scene. Maybe just suck an ice block so you get the steam happening really good.
Fucking hell.
I don't know.
Yeah,
whatever.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah, what else have I got?
I've got a few things, but they're only minor, but there's one big one, but I want to leave that to last.
So the dialogue, I want to talk about some of the dialogue in between.
Go on. Yeah.
I think sometimes it's effective, but I think more often than not, it actually ends up speaking the subtext.
Yeah.
So conscientious listeners would be able to pick up things like the fact that Mark is still in love with Maureen from his interactions with her, from the way he talks about her, from the fucking show, like from the libretto of the show. We're not idiots, we can figure it out.
Yeah.
And a big part of what he goes through is letting her go. We had to have it in dialogue. We had to have Collins go, he's still in love with Maureen.
I'm like, fuck off.
And it's like, well, that's
what are you doing?
You don't need to spell this shit out for us. And so much of the dialogue is just speaking the subtext, not allowing it to be subtext anymore. It just becomes text
when
now.
Maureen gets on one knee and he goes, I can't believe that. I'm like, dude, really? Seriously?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I do love, though, I think it was ad-libbed. I'm not sure. It's been a while since I've seen the musical. Which after probably one of the greatest duets of all time, and I will stick to that, between Maureen and Joanne.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. After
the parents.
I love it.
Maybe you two can
get back together. It's just like, wow. And they all walk off. I'm like,
that's funny because
beautiful.
it adds a little bit of thing about her parents that you don't get to see.
Yeah.
But there's like this awful, Roger says this awful line about something about, I don't want you to let the opportunity for good things pass by. And he says, I'll live. And it's like, somebody in the fucking writing room is like brushing their hands like, job well done.
Look what I did.
Yes, now it's time for my coffee break because I've done my work for today. And everyone else is like, that's dumb.
Dude, you are a fuckwit. You're only on this team because your dad's the producer.
Exactly. But guys, it's really poignant.
Oh,
and some of it just kills me. Some of it, and it's
I just hate the fact that Christopher Columbus is basically tiptoeing around drug addiction, the HIV. I feel he's just not sinking his teeth into it. Like the fact that the reason that John Lazarus wrote this is because it was such a fucking epidemic.
Yeah.
Like it was.
They definitely do not make enough about the fact that these people are dying.
Yeah.
Like dying. They make it about the surrounding characters. They're more than happy to show the fucking support group
die off slowly.
Very, artistically disappearing in montage.
Yeah.
Where it's like that's actually an effective choice. But at the same time, you've got one of your two main male characters and your female lead and your two supporting roles are all dying of this disease.
Yes.
And nobody mentions it really except for the angel stuff.
Yeah.
Like Mimi. But they make Mimi's thing more about her drug addiction. Than anything else.
On top of a drug addiction, she has AIDS.
Yeah, and they barely make it a thing with Roger and her. Like that whole song where it's meant to be this kind of confession about, look, we've both got this disease. It's going to mean that, this relationship's going to be pretty hard to deal with.
Yeah, and it's not going to end nice.
No, there's every chance it's probably going to end horribly.
Yeah.
And it's this beautiful wandering in the snow, smiling at each other ballad. And I'm like, come on,
Disney movie, man.
What is this shit?
It's a Disney movie.
Anyway,
it was Frozen.
Let's
Frozen rent
style. Find some nice things to say because I did actually enjoy this more.
Find some nice things.
Here we go. Actually, I wish more of the movie was handled like the New Year's Eve section, where it's a very clever adaptation and very little music. And
it was good.
And it told a story, and it didn't rely on the music to do it, and it told it well.
Yes.
I liked it.
I liked it a lot.
That was 5 minutes worth.
Moving on.
Of goodness. Sarah Silverman as Alexi Darling is an excellent choice.
She's hilarious.
Wonderful casting.
Love Sarah Silverman. Go on. Okay. What do you got
this movie's too darn long.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Why was it so long?
It's so long.
What?
The musical goes for 2 hours and 15 to 2 hours and 20, plus an interval. So,
with interval?
Yeah, Act 1 is about an hour 20. Act 2 is about 55 to an hour.
This movie was way too long.
This movie went for 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
That means that there was every part of the music, as long as the musical was in the movie. That is not the way to do this.
No.
That is not the way to do this at all.
Would you cut?
Too darn long.
Would you cut a song?
They cut so much.
I know, but what would you? Because I know for a fact, like
I would keep far less than what this movie kept.
Yeah. You need.
You'd have to be a little bit more brutal, and that's what ends up happening with movie musicals. One of the joys of knowing a stage adaptation and a movie is that you watch the movie and go, wow, that's pretty cool. And then you listen to the thing and go, wow, look at these extra songs that they didn't include in the movie. That's part of the joy. And yes, deep down you'll end up going, oh, that would have made the movie better. But that's what you think. It wouldn't, because then you sit through a 2.5 hour movie that's not as as good.
Doesn't even come close.
Yeah, because you can't replicate the same experience.
No.
You got to try and make it a movie.
It's a different medium. You have to change it in order to suffice the text and your audience.
So I'd actually keep some of the things that they cut.
Yeah,
and I would cut some of the things that they kept. Yeah, I think getting rid of all the stuff post the funeral is an awful idea. I think they cutting Goodbye Love, the argument between Mark and Roger, Halloween. Basically ruins, or doesn't ruin, but basically gives no conclusion to Mark's arc.
Yeah.
Mark's arc.
Or
really, it's important for Roger to have that too. And it gets kind of brushed aside.
I think the leaving out the fact that what you're doing is because it's based on an opera, so it's operatic. The reason why Mimi comes back and all that shit is because it's such a drama. Not having the voicemails, that's your comedy. That's where you're breaking it up a bit and you're sort of, coming in and out. Having the voicemails in the fucking movie would have made...
That could be fun.
Would have made it more of a comedy.
But
I'm not saying that it is a comedy. I'm saying that what you're doing
they had the one from his dad and stuff.
That sucked. I'm talking about the whole thing.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it, do it.
It might have been fun to see some
Not
of
having any of the April stuff in there either. None of...
Oh, she's mentioned in passing.
Yeah. None of you don't get any of what Roger's going through. That's why he looks so good and drinking tea and
well, you see it in flashback and it's this glorified
this is the thing. It's
film
all
clip.
Which is a Bon Jovi film clip.
They're all Bon Jovi film clips. It's
that ending with him on the cliff. I was like,
understand.
What are you doing, Chris?
Why is he on a
fucking
cliff?
Idiot!
Why is he on a cliff? Why is he driven out? So he's driven out to New Mexico or whatever to find himself.
Yeah.
He goes and just stands on a cliff for a bit. Decides he wants to go home. What happened?
Which is the quickest fucking year I have ever seen in film ever.
Well, that's not meant to be a year between then and there. That's
Isn't it?
No,
I thought it was a year.
No, because
coming back when Collins comes back, it's a year. Sorry.
No, because Angel dies around Halloween.
Right.
So it's basically a month and a half. He's gone for about 6 weeks.
Oh.
Yeah. He's actually gone for about 4 weeks. He's back for about 2 weeks before the finale. Yeah. So he's gone for about a month.
Dude.
Yeah, but did he do peyote or something out there and had a weird kind of spiritual awakening and then came home? Because that's what it seems like to me. Because what is the catalyst for him to come back? Because he just stood on a cliff.
Yeah.
And
we don't see that.
Mimi, I see you. Or whatever he says. No, that's the...
No.
Yeah.
No.
But they don't even make a point of that.
No, they don't.
Like he could be driving somewhere watching another band or something, or he might have
The realization that he's written the song.
Yeah. Instead, he's writing it as he's coming home.
Yeah.
It's like, no. You should be where you are in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
Like 3/4 down a bottle of Jack in this shitty hotel room with looking at this one sentence over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Something like maybe
Papers all around
Papers
you
all around.
and
Maybe
fucking-
not as obvious as just your eyes and underlined or something. But something like that.
Her eyes, Mimi's eyes. Just
Yeah.
have it all crossed out and on the same page. Do something.
Blue eyes.
Fuck,
No.
blue
Brown
eyes.
eyes.
Grey
No,
eyes.
I'm almost there.
she's got-
I'm feeling it. I'm
Hazel
feeling
eyes.
it.
No. Hungry eyes. No, that's Dirty Dancing.
Here
Fuck.
I am once again. Exactly.
Movie Land? No, that's a Movie Land thing. No, damn it. God damn it.
But I don't know. Anyway, that's just it was just bad. That there are 3 moments that I point to as like the obviously awful choices,
Yeah,
just
go on.
awful choices, and that is What You Own, the entirety of the blocking of What You Own, how it's conceived entirely, the entire conceiving
Hang
of
on,
the
go
commitment
back.
ceremony.
Hang on, wait. What's What You Own again?
Cliff face.
Oh, right.
Singing on the cliff face, that whole song.
Okay, yep.
The commitment ceremony, the idea of the commitment ceremony is just the most wrong-footed idea.
Don't have that.
And the flashback in One Song Glory. I think they are the 3 worst ideas in the whole film.
That's very true.
And they're unforgivable. They're just painful.
I think a really, really wasted scene is and it's one of my favorite fucking songs in this musical. Is Santa Fe.
That's funny. I was actually going to say I think Santa Fe could be cut for the film.
In this, yes, it could.
I think it's super important in a stage element because it is nothing but character reflection.
Yeah.
But it's internal
But in
character
this,
reflection. In this,
it's
useless.
just a waste of fucking time.
Yeah, it's just a bit of fun on a train carriage.
Yeah.
They're just having a good time. And if it's going to...
But it shouldn't be. None of this should be a fucking good time.
If they're going to try and just... I think they do a good enough job. Because I actually think I'll Cover You is really nice. I think they do it quite well. I think it's pretty sweet.
I wanted a little bit more in there.
Yeah,
to be
I could take a little bit more. But I think it's a pretty
little
truthful...
bit more connection.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
But
I can see a bit more. Like, I wouldn't argue with a little bit more.
No, I'm not
But
saying
to
that it's
me,
bad.
like, removing Santa Fe is 5 minutes that we could have kept me a little bit more engaged because the runtime isn't clicking over 2.5 or nearly 2.5 and I'm like, fuck, I've got to go get dinner and do all this kind of shit. You know what I mean? Like it becomes an issue when you're 2 hours, 20 minutes deep and you think I could have spared 7 minutes in that fucking train carriage that we didn't need, that taught us nothing about these people the way it was presented to us anyway.
Rather that have some dialogue in between. If you're going to do a movie, you have dialogue in between just to make it up. I feel it was
put some dialogue, a little bit, 2 lines of dialogue. Yeah, something talking about we want to get, like, imagine getting out of this place. It's like, what would you do? I've always wanted to have a cafe, and it's just like this little monologue.
Have moments.
This tiny little
characters.
monologue about this cafe that he loves because it sets up the idea of that escape that none of them are able to have, and it just an angel can break it, and they go into I'll cover you. Yeah. Lovely, perfect. None of this, and that's fine. It saves us this time. Anyway, all right. Well, look,
I've got one more.
Sure, go
can
for
I have
it.
this one?
Yeah, of course you can.
All right. So this is gonna rub a little bit. Okay. So in watching this time and being the age of I'm 36 years old now, and Nick saw this musical. I was 19 at the time, I believe. In retrospect, unfortunately, the theme of living the artistic bohemian life, living free rent, no job, and selling out, as they put it, which is not really selling out.
Sorry,
I
should get my feet out of your area.
Stay there. Is a little bit ignorant, which is what most people are when they're young. Which is why I loved this musical when I was younger. Right?
Yes.
Benny's not really a villain. He just wants Mark and Roger to pay their rent. Is that not a crime? Am I missing the point here?
No. You're 100% right, and I think that's something that comes with a little bit of age and a little bit of reflection.
Yeah.
I think we understand that the ideals that these guys are facing are very much ideals of younger people.
Yeah. And you have to kind of remember that, I guess, going in. But there was that one shot when the line when Benny says, we can do what we've dreamed of in this place and we can get paid for it. Dude, you are going to... He wants to help Mark and Roger succeed in their chosen field in New York City, no less.
Well, yeah, like it's kind of... nice what he's doing.
Yeah.
And I get it. It's not what they want, and they've got different goals. But I think the idea that Benny is the villain is not something
Not that he's a villain, but yeah.
no. But I don't think it's really shared by as many people as it originally would have been. And I don't think anyone ever really thought, Benny was like this big fucking jerk.
No.
I think it was just that we were kind of like, he's got very different ideals.
Fair deal.
And we've just got to... But I'm the same. I'm kind of with him now. I'm just kind of like...
Yeah, exactly. And I don't like that.
Yeah, you bum. Pay your fucking rent.
Pay your fucking rent. Other people, had jobs and still had that
Don't
that
light that
artistic
shit on
field.
fire. What are you doing? Don't start a big fire in the middle of the street, you idiots. What are you doing? Well, that could start a fucking...
Come on. Pay your rent.
Just pay your rent.
Just pay your rent, man.
And I love it when he's like, this should cover us, here's our advance. And it's also snooty. And it's just like, yeah, damn right.
Dude!
You found some money.
A fucking year's worth of rent, you champ.
Yeah. Well, imagine, like, that's cheap as. So he's like, this should keep us covered for a while. I'm like, $3,000, so like a month, or because that
New
place,
York?
that place looks fucking rad.
Fucking massive.
Yeah.
You don't have, you have a skylight that is awesome, but still, you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Look, I'll wrap
rain that much
so let's, in closing, because I think we need to wrap.
In
We've
closing.
talked for a very long time. I think there's definitely some moving moments in it. I think, like the support group, it's nicely handled.
Really nice.
Angel, the character is nicely performed. The death of Angel is nicely
death of
handled.
Angel is very well.
Maybe could have gone even further. I think these actors know these characters very well, and while some of them don't translate it very well to the screen, I think we get truthful enough performances because they've understood these characters, they've lived in them for quite a while.
Yeah.
I just think we get watered down direction, watered down thematic kind of content.
Yeah. Rushed parts. You don't get. He didn't understand what Rent was about, unfortunately.
Ill thought out.
To be honest, going on what I just said about a 36-year-old going back and understanding, if anything, you need a brand new director to come at this being the age that these characters are.
You'd get a very different movie.
He would understand it more.
Well, I think depending what age you are. So, for instance, if someone, let's say, Chris Columbus is in his 40s or 50s and had very little connection to the material, like he presented it without really any understanding whatsoever.
Yep.
I think someone with our age would approach it in kind of a cynical way.
Yep.
And like, not that that's a bad thing, but would reflect more on the cynicism surrounding that. Like that Mark's quest for noble art is probably a pretty an ill-fated kind of journey. It's not going to end well for him. Yeah. Like, this is the way we would approach it. Whereas a director in their early 20s to mid-20s would treat them all with this reverence, like these are the people that understand it. So depending what age you are, I think you could make 3 very different films using this source material.
I'd love to see someone in their 20s.
Well, I think we should have at least been either or the 20s or the mid-30s. Yeah. I think having Chris Columbus directed is just a really bad choice. Yeah. It's like someone's dad. It's like the dad in Ill on Jimmy Fallon, the dad that comes down the stairs and tries to sing songs with them. And like, ow. It's like him directing Rent. There's no real understanding of the material.
Rent. It was Harry and the Hendersons' Rent. That's what it was.
I love Harry and the Hendersons.
So do I. Let's do that.
Get out of here. Get out of No one wants you here. John Lithgow. So good.
Yeah.
Anyway. Does that about wrap us up on that one?
Ending, Tys.
I don't want to talk about the ending.
It was so quick and fucked. Anyway, sorry.
Look, by that point I was done. I was like,
because it was way too long. And you're
too
like,
long. Too long.
Yeah.
That had happened pre 2 hours.
You know what I am going to say? We're not going to end it on that. What we're going to end on is the fact that because of this podcast, I got to relive a musical that, don't get me wrong, the movie wasn't that great, but what it brought out in me was me remembering a beautiful time of me being 19, 20, 21, where Rent was absolutely everything.
I get you.
And I got to live that through their songs.
Yeah, you're right. And in closing, Williamstown Musical Theatre
is
currently presenting Rent. This is hot off the press.
Pretty sure you've...
Hot off the presses.
Yeah, go for it.
We had a sellout season.
Amazing.
And we've just added a new show. So if anyone is listening to this and is like, I'd love to go see Rent live.
If you're in Melbourne.
You have legitimately one opportunity. And that is Saturday the 25th of November at 2 p.m.
The lovely matinee.
That is the matinee that we've just added. So head to the Rent the Musical Williamstown Musical Theatre, WMTC, Rent the Musical Facebook group, Facebook page if you want more information.
Sure.
I'll put a link in the episode description or something like that if you happen to be floating around the area and want to watch a good representation. I mean, not that sounds like that sounds kind of mean.
See it on stage, which is absolutely different from seeing
very different from seeing the film.
You're experiencing it, you're getting these, and just also, I know that Tys has just plugged his musical, but the fact that WMTC has sold out that's huge.
We've had to add 2 extra shows.
That's
fucking
really cool.
Big,
man. That's really awesome. I'm really actually quite pissed that I'm not going to be able to see it.
Oh, it's a bummer.
Because I really wanted to catch it.
I'll show you some photos.
Oh, thanks.
Thanks.
And avocado.
Why don't I do it? I'll do the whole show for you.
Yeah, just do a little bit now.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I'll get up on the rug and I'll do
I'll
play every role.
Ding. Come on, let's start.
Perfect. No, we're good.
We're good.
Okay. Why don't we move on to some stream crossing? What? No, it doesn't work as well that way, does it? We've got to do that.
You want to do that?
We've got to do that.
Okay, here we go.
Crossing the streams!
Oh, we popped in. That was terrible.
That's all right.
That was
all
all
right.
right.
The harmony.
Yeah.
So crossing the streams this week.
We're gonna have to pause because
I'll say mine because
go on.
well I can't. We can pause, but I can't reach the fucking button.
That's true.
So we might as well just keep on talking.
Okay, so we are on the fly.
We are on the fly, as they say. What do we got here that I'm interested in? Here we go.
Go on.
I got mine.
Ooh.
Just added to Netflix kind of recently.
Yeah.
I'm going to recommend the film Sisters. Now, this was the second, I believe, teaming of Amy Poehler and Tina Fey after Baby Mama.
Yeah.
I love Baby Mama for some reason. I don't know why. I can acknowledge that it's not a great film, but I think I love the two of them together. I think they bounce off each other exceptionally well. And when you add Steve Martin into the mix, you've pretty much got my all-time movie
dude,
just in a nutshell.
That's awesome.
Their follow-up was Sisters, a film about 2 kind of grown-up adult sisters who their parents decide to sell the house that they grew up in, so they want to have one big final
I remember the trailer for this.
in the house, and
it was good.
I think it's really funny. It was kind of passed over a little bit by critics when it came out. It wasn't super successful. I think it's very, very funny. I think it's good because you've got Tina Fey playing the kind of the wreck this time, which is a bit against type. I think if you put Tina Fey and Amy Poehler together, you would always expect Tina Fey to be the straight woman, Amy Poehler to be the kind of wild one. And so they play against type. In this, Amy Poehler's the straight-laced one. Tina Fey's really letting loose, and she's really funny, and she's got a really great energy. This is where I first kind of had my John Cena man crush on, because he's so funny in this. Like, he pops up as a very intimidating drug dealer.
Oh, right. Really?
But he's
hilarious.
Really funny, really, really great. Tina Fey and him have these excellent interactions together. For some reason, I love movies that are set in house parties where they just get crazy debaucherous. I actually really like movies like that. I think there's a real sense of humor to that that you can have a lot of fun with. It's partly why I like Can't Hardly Wait, because of that energy, that kind of that one night big party, massive the big blowout, to end all blowouts.
Yep.
There is, if you handle it well, there's actually a really good opportunity for gags in that. And there's some. Look, I'm not saying it's perfect, but there's some nice moments in this. It's good for a laugh.
Yep.
I enjoyed it a lot more than I think it was critically reviewed as. I think I expected it to be kind of bad, considering what people were saying about it, and I think it's probably about on par with Baby Mama. If you liked Baby Mama, there's no reason you won't like Sisters. I don't think. I think it's
Sam is a way bigger Tina Fey fan. She 30 rocked the shit out of it. When Sam comes home drunk, I have to tell this story, and she's gonna love it. So when she comes home drunk, not that she's done that, and she wants to, believe me.
I can imagine.
Yeah. She comes home drunk, and if she's too drunk to come to bed, I have to put her on the couch, bucket next to her, massive packet of chips, and 30 Rock on replay. Yeah.
Good choice.
And she actually can't sleep. She actually stays up and watches the whole thing till the drunkenness passes.
That's so good.
I love my wife. She is badass. And while I'm mentioning my wife, I just want to mention the fact that having a baby is a 24-hour job for a mother. Not for a father, for a mother. And Sam has so beautifully let me go and do this podcast once a week.
She's a legend.
And I love her so much.
We thank you very much,
so
Sam.
much, babe.
And you're kicking ass.
Yeah.
I know she is.
She is. On that, I really want to see that now.
Yeah, man. Check
both
it out.
of them.
Sisters, Netflix. Get on it. What do you got?
Mine being in theme because of what has happened in Australia yesterday.
Oh, yes, good call.
Yesterday? Today?
That was yesterday.
I would like to suggest that everyone watches on Stan Moonlight.
Oh, very
because
good.
it just came on Stan.
It did.
And if anyone missed the chance to see I know you haven't. Missed the chance to see the Academy Award-winning Moonlight.
I've seen Underworld Blood War, though. Just saying.
Tyson, Jesus. So yeah, it did win Oscars, but it's a beautiful, it's timeless human connection story about self-discovery, and it just chronicles the life of a young black man whose childhood, he struggles from his childhood to his adulthood, and it's just a beautiful film. And it came out of nowhere for me. Like, I knew when I saw it because of I saw it before it won Oscars, obviously, with the lead up, but I didn't know, coming from the trailer, I had no idea where this was coming from. And just a nice left field punch that really hit you in the stomach and was such a beautiful movie. It's definitely worth the watch. It's totally worth your time. And
I don't doubt it for a second.
Very relevant right now.
I will definitely get around to watching that. I promise the world I will watch Moonlight shortly.
Yeah.
And
the fact that
it'll be on my list for this summer.
That things like this are getting recognition makes me think that there is a generation out there that this isn't going to be. Like, on my way over, I was listening to the radio and listening to a teacher, which if we had more time, I'd love to hear how your students reacted to what happened yesterday. There is now going to be a generation that this will never be an issue for them.
That's amazing.
We have gone past this, that this is not going to be an issue, and it's we're getting more and more human, I would feel. Yeah.
That's very pretty, and I would like to end it on that note. Yep. Having said that, well done, Nicholas.
Thank you.
So next week, we haven't decided what we're going to do next week just yet. But
shit,
because we're not going to decide right now, but we will decide by the time this episode comes out tomorrow.
Fair deal.
So just check the episode notes, and you'll see down the bottom under where it says next week, you'll see a little listy list of what we're going to do next week. I'm sure it's going to be amazing. It's going to be just a great movie. We're going to have a wonderful chat. It's going to be really awesome.
Well, it has to be because this was it just has to be.
This is a long episode. This is going to be this is going to be up there as one of the longest, I think.
Well, there's a reason.
There is a reason because we talked about fucking Underworld Blood Wars for 10 minutes. So it's,
you keep mentioning it.
Yeah, I can't help it, man. I'll take the rap for that.
So ladies and gentlemen, if you do want to join Nick and Tys on social media, download us, listen to us, subscribe, rate, review, and share us. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter, and you can email us at nicktysandvideotape@gmail.com.
Please email. Let us know if you've got any requests. We're going to be doing another by request round fairly shortly. We're very excited about that one. That's going to be an excellent discussion.
We have had mail recently.
We've had some mail recently.
We're going to get to you.
We will definitely get that. We keep forgetting to bring that up.
We're
definitely not doing it now because it's been 2.5 hours of this fucking episode.
We're going to get to you. But yeah, we will get to you next week. We promise. We're going to be a little bit more structured next week.
It's because we've had a week off. We don't know what we're doing. We're all over the shop. But until then, we'll be recording again in about fucking 3 days. So Nick, I will see you then.
I'll see you in 3 days, Tys.
Okay, bye everybody.
Bye.
Bye.